You guys ready?
So we're talking almost about the same.
Good evening. Welcome to tonight's Town Council meeting in here in Council Chambers, Monday, June 20th, 2016, 7 p.m. Agenda item number 1, Pledge of Allegiance. Please join me. Agenda item number 2, roll call, please.
Councilor Auclair,
Present.
Councilor Carrasco,
Present.
Councilor Clements,
Present.
Councilor Estrada,
Present.
Councilor Manna,
Present.
Councilor Steves,
Present.
Councilor Vandal,
Excused.
Councilor Vecchia,
Here.
7 present, 1 excused.
Thank you. Agenda item number 3, consider and accept Town Council meeting minutes of Monday, June 6, 2016.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion, any corrections? Simple hand vote? All in favor? We have 1 abstention. 2 abstentions, excuse me. Councilors Vecchia and Estrada. Thank you. Agenda item number 4, subcommittee reports. A, general government. Councilor Clements.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. A general government meeting was held on 6/9/2016. In attendance were myself, Gus Steves, Councilor Steves, Councilor Auclair, Citizens Member Rick Nash, Town Manager Ron Sanangelo, and Finance Director Karen Harnoy. The first agenda item was the option to waive the right of first refusal under Chapter 61A for parcel 011-003-B-00001 on Gulfwood Road and recommend to council. Mr. Sanangelo said that the land is being proposed for another solar farm not connected to the nearby Borrego project. The assessors will issue a rollback tax of about $3,000, and the project will add about $13,000 a year to the Southbridge tax rolls. He said he did not ask Conservation's opinion of this plan. Mr. Nash made a motion to waive the first right to refusal. Councilor Steves seconded, and it passed. Recommend to council to ratify 3-0. The second agenda item was to review a request from the Historical Commission to rename the recreation room of the Town Hall the Evelyn A. Petrelli Room and recommend to council. We discussed the idea very briefly because it's a wonderful idea. Mrs. Petrelli had been involved in a lot here in the town. Her effort in the community was just very uncommon for here, and she served on several boards and subcommittees. She did a lot of bicentennial work and downtown cleanups, the Christmas decorations, many, many things. And so it was obviously unanimous that we recommend that council name the recreation room in honor of Mrs. Petrelli this evening. The following 2 items were discussed together. Vote to recommend Town Council transfer $2,430 from the Cable Operating Special Reserve Account number 6626 to Cable Budget Account number 1.179.5100.0.743 to fund the administrative position at an S5 level per the Schedule 1. The other item that was discussed at the same time was the 4th item, vote to recommend to Town Council a positional change, Schedule 1, Section 4, Cable Access, to modify the Cable Secretary/Office Manager position from a CAC 3 classification to an S5 per Section 3. Mr. Sanangelo said this represents the conclusion of the secretarial job shift sparked by the recent proposal to combine the Health and Inspections departments. Stacy Reynolds will now be full-time at the Fire Department, Judy Payer full-time in the Tax Collector's Office, and Max Gullickson full-time split between the Health Inspections job and the Cable Office. At Cable, he'll combine secretarial duties with technical and broadcasting work and scheduling. I commented that I would be in support of this additional increase in the Cable secretarial duties and such based on what I had heard in terms of the facts on the additional duties being given at that time. I dislike the way it was done overall, though maybe there will be more efficiencies in the fire department, but what will we do if we have to downsize later, were some of my comments. with these positional changes. Mr. San Angeles spoke at length with Chief DeFranco about department needs and how the change would work. His response was that the extra time could help handle ambulance billing and other things that firefighters now get small stipends to do, but might require some changes to the contract. Councilor Steves asked if it would have any actual effect on the budget. Mr. San Angelo said it wouldn't. There'd be no savings, but no extra cost either. The cable part is paid by subscribers. Southbridge gets $178,000 a year in revenue from Charter and doesn't use it all. As of now, they've been using about $126,000. We have all the equipment we need for a little while, but we could use some of it to improve the quality and the quantity of the shows. So in item 3, both items were passed unanimously to recommend to council for full ratification. Number 5, vote to recommend council transfer $10,030 from cable operating special revenue account number 6626 to cable budget account 1.1795100.0.743 to fund the 2 part-time cable access coordinator positions and the FY 2017 2% salary increase for part-time station manager. Mrs. Harnoy asked that we add that language and above to the agenda item, which we did. Mr. San Angelo said he had interviewed 3 candidates for station manager to replace Mike Montigny and selected Jim Cosgrove to continue doing that job. The other 2 are teachers with experience teaching kids how to do community access TV, but couldn't do the budgeting that Jim can do. They're seeking a 10 to 15-hour work week to edit and film events, and that would require adding 11 hours a week to the cable payroll. He said they intend to get out and cover events not now being filmed. Mrs. Harno said she has budgeted $19.68 an hour for each of them. This month, Southbridge will get the last installment of $100,000 for capital upgrades under the current 10-year charter contract, which has 6 years remaining. The annual payment of $178,000 will continue thereafter until it ends. This was also passed to recommend to council unanimously, 3-0. We adjourned the meeting at 7:50, and the minutes were taken by Councilor Steves. Thank you very much for doing that again. Councilor Steves, we have no meeting scheduled at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. B, Department of Public Works. We have no minutes and no meeting scheduled. C, Education and Human Services. Councilor Steves.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We had a meeting on June 9th as well. In attendance were myself, Councilor Clements, Councilor Clare, Citizen Member Martina Shea, Town Manager Ron San Angelo, Health Director Andy Pelletier, Citizens Elizabeth Stevens, Rick Nash, Kevin Buxton, Paul Zotos, and John Pulaski. I called it to order at 6:30. There was one agenda item, which was to discuss and vote to recommend the appointment of Elizabeth Stevens to a 3-year term on the Board of Health, effective immediately until June 30th, 2019. Ron said that there's been a lot of interest in this appointment, with many qualified and talented people coming forward. He wants to appoint someone more objective regarding landfill site assignment, one who lacks a clear stance pro or anti, and feels Ms. Stevens can do that. The landfill is important, but not the only issue. Ms. Stevens has not yet visited and said it's not why I'm here. He described her as an MRI tech at Harrington and a doctor's wife with 5+ years in patient care and volunteerism for the Harrington Auxiliary. He said he looked online to see if she had expressed any positions regarding the landfill and couldn't find any. Although several citizens have said they'd like to see a doctor on the Board of Health, none had put their name in for consideration at this time. Ms. Stevens said that she has seen a lot of the same kinds of patients, including asthma and diabetes, and wants to create community projects to work on those issues while on the board. That fits what the Board of Health members have said, themselves have said, and Mr. San Angelo noted. They've recently opted to have 2 meetings, one landfill focus and the other for other health concerns. Councilor Clare noted that the current Board of Health membership's terms are not well staggered and urged the manager to give the next appointee a 2-year seat. After some discussion of how Ms. Stevens deals with contentious situations and videotaping meetings, Ms. Shea moved to recommend approving her appointment. Councilor Clements seconded, and it passed 4-0. I adjourned the meeting at 6:58 p.m. and took minutes. There is no meeting scheduled.
Thank you. D, Planning and Development. Councilor Manna.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. Just a point of clarification. There are a couple mistakes in these minutes. I finished them up tonight. I will make the corrections and send them off to Yvonne in the morning. A meeting of the Planning and Development Subcommittee was held on June 14, 2016 at 6:30 p.m. In attendance were Subcommittee Chair myself, Subcommittee members Miguel Estrada, Citizen Member Amelia Peliquin. Also in attendance were Cassandra Ackley of the Planning Board, Town Manager Ron San Angelo, Town Councilor Gus Steves, and Citizen Corey Belrose. Councilor Vecchia was excused. I open the meeting at 6:30 p.m. Agenda item number 1, review manager's recommendation to appoint Corey Belrose to the Planning Board for a 3-year term effective immediately through June 30th, 2019, and entertain a motion to vote to recommend to council for ratification. The town manager opened the discussion. Corey Belrose came highly recommended by various members of the Planning Board. She is an attorney by profession and is very knowledgeable with the laws. She is currently a labor attorney. Ron went on to say that he believes her background is very suitable for the board. She has strong capabilities and highly recommends her. Councilor Steves asked Ms. Belrose if she could summarize what made her want to be part of the Planning Board. Ms. Belrose replied that she believes Southbridge is very open to helping businesses, and there were actually a couple of times where she helped the board with some advice. The board members were respectful of everyone, and she believes they want to give people the chance to talk. Councilor Steves then asked when the actual term ended, with a response from our town manager that the term indeed ended in June of 2019. Councilor Estrada elaborated on her resume as he felt it was very impressive. Councilor Manna thanked Ms. Belrose for applying for the appointment and echoed the sentiments of the town manager, as she also thought Ms. Belrose to be a good person to serve on the board with her background and knowledge. A motion was made by Amelia Peliquin to move to accept the town manager's recommendation and send to council for ratification. Councilor Estrada made a second motion. All in favor, 3-0. Agenda item number 2, review the revised Goddard Street plan and vote to send to a full council with a recommendation that the town council vote its intention to lay out the revised way and refer the matter to the planning board for a non-binding recommendation. Sandy Ackley opened the discussion. She stated Cumberland Farms needed to widen the already accepted Goddard Street, and this has to go through a formal process. A recommendation was made to recommend the revised Goddard Street plan be sent to council with a recommendation that the town council send this to the planning board. Amelia Peliquin made the motion with a second from Councilor Estrada. All in favor, 3-0. Agenda item number 3, review the proposed zoning bylaw amendment for a new section to address solar facilities and send to full council with a recommendation to submit to the planning board to receive public input. Sandy Ackley opened the discussion. Sandy explained that there was never a solar bylaw developed before and how special permits are needed if solar is developed on public property. The bylaw, if passed, would allow for certain parcels of land to go through without a special permit. She stated she believed that anything over 2.5 acres would have to go through special permitting. There would also be a public hearing to discuss where on the property solar is allowed. The town manager stated the state is promoting ties into green community. He also asked where Ms. Ackley got the verbiage for the bylaws. Ms. Ackley responded that she had chosen a bylaw from the state, some from Framingham, and some from Ashland, with some being from her own experiences. The town manager asked if an attorney would need to review this, and if not, he would still like to see this reviewed by an attorney. Citizen member Amelia Peliquin asked where Ms. Ackley got the 2.5 acres. Ms. Ackley explained she saw Ashland come up with the 1.5 acres in their bylaw. She thought this was small, so they decided on the 2.5 acres. She did state, though, she did not think this would be big enough. Citizen member Amelia Peliquin asked what the local effects of the solar projects. Ms. Ackley responded that the biggest issue is sight. The fence is tall and has barbed wire. They are not very attractive. Noise is not an issue. Stormwater is an issue also. A consultant engineer has to be hired to ensure stormwater regulations are followed. The bylaw proposes that these be set for 100 feet back. Councilor Steves asked where the zones would be. Ms. Ackley states they would change some things. This would be noted in the table of use of regulations. Councilor Steves asked how they plan to address the smaller lots. Ms. Ackley responded if someone owned those lots, they couldn't do it as there has to be a certain kilowatt this would need to produce. A motion was made to recommend the proposed bylaw to be sent to council with a recommendation that the town council send this to the planning board. Amelia Peliquin made the recommendation with a second from Councilor Estrada. All in favor, 3-0. A motion was made to adjourn the meeting by Amelia Peliquin, a second from Councilor Estrada. All in favor to adjourn, 3-0. The meeting closed at 7:02 p.m. Respectfully submitted by myself, who I was recording clerk for that evening. I do not have any meetings planned at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Steves.
Yeah, I just have a couple of corrections that I didn't notice earlier. First section, you mentioned that the term ended, but when I asked about the actual term, I was actually referring to the term of the current person on the board, the one who has left the board that she's replacing.
If you want to email me those, and I can put them in the minutes, and I'll send them to Yvonne. Like I said, I did this right after work tonight, and it was very quick because I knew they needed to be done. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll just send them to you.
Thank you. E, protection of persons and property. Counselor Vecchia.
Thank you very much. To begin with, Councilor Claire filled in for me while I've been sick, and I really appreciate it, and I heard that you did a very good job, so thank you for doing my work. I know you had a meeting this week. Do you have minutes?
I don't have minutes typed up yet, but I would like to just do a quick summary because it's on the agenda item tonight.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you.
So a meeting of the Protections of Persons and Property Subcommittee was held on June 15th at 6:30 p.m. In the Rice Conference Room. On the agenda was a single item, review the following 13 individuals as auxiliary officers, Southbridge Police for a 3-year term effective immediately through June 30th, 2019, and entertain a motion to vote to recommend to council for confirmation. Police Chief Woodson opened up the discussion and talked a lot about the financial and also the time commitments that these individuals had put forth, 312 hours of police academy. I'm sure he'll speak to that again with all of the time and everything spent training. Everybody was there that evening, except for a couple due to military obligations. They all showed up. After some quick discussion, Chief Woodson recommended all of the individuals to be put forward, and there were no issues or any kind of discussion further. So we voted unanimously to submit these individuals to the council, and it will be on the agenda later on tonight. We adjourned at 6:44.
Thank you. Moving on to agenda item 5, Chairman's announcements. I have a few, and I'm going to try to go as fast as I can tonight. First of all, I wanted to say once again to the organizers of the Relay for Life, great job. Another successful event where I know on Friday night when I was there, they already had raised over $105,000 just on Friday night. I'm not sure the final total, but great job to them. This Saturday is Household Hazardous Waste Day. It's at Casella from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Bring your paints, bring extra household stuff that you need to get rid of. Make sure if you're bringing a trailer or it needs to be covered. The police department will be out and they will be issuing tickets, citations for those that are not covered, the loads that are not covered. Next, also in regards to our police department has just recently received a prescription drug disposal container. It is a container that will be available to our citizens or anybody that has prescription drugs. They will not, there's also a list of things that they will not be accepting, needles, sharps, things like that, but any prescription drugs that you might have or you don't need of, please bring them in. And it's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can drop them off at our local police department at no cost to you, and we'll keep those off the streets. Also, the Andrew J. Petru Pool, is opening this Saturday also. It will be open from June 25th all the way to August 21st, 2016. The local YMCA is going to be running our local town pool. There is packages available for families to be able to purchase family passes. But again, that will be this Saturday, the grand opening of our town pool. Couple more. This Friday, June 24th, is the turnaround plan for our school department release day. It is scheduled for 10:45 at Charlton Street School. This is where our the receiver, Commissioner Chester, alongside with the receiver, Dr. Jessica Huzenga, will be delivering and presenting the final version of the Southbridge turnaround plan for our schools. So if you're interested and you want to hear it, want to understand it, want to know about it, it's scheduled for this Friday at 10:45 at Charlton Street School. Also, next Tuesday is our local election. Local town election. Polls open at 8 in the morning. They go all the way to 8 p.m. It is scheduled at, it's 7 a.m., 7 in the morning, excuse me, 7 in the morning till 8 p.m. It is scheduled at our community center on Chestnut Street. So please come out, get involved. For all those candidates that are running, good luck. And get involved because we need the citizens to come out and vote. So June 28th, it's from 7 to 8 p.m. And then my final two announcements. Today comes a close to this session with this sitting council, seeing that our next meeting, we will have a new council. And I just want to take the opportunity to, first of all, thank one of the personnel that's worked for over close to 30 years in our town, Nicholas Tortis. He will be finally retired. He is done. After 30 years of service to our town as a building inspector, I just want to publicly say thank you. I know he's in the audience. I want to say thank you, Mr. Tortis, for all your hard work, your years of dedication. I know I've appreciated working with you and getting to know you and seeing the work that you've done. You will be missed. And also, I know he's watching. We will hear a message from Councilor Vandal, but Councilor Vandal also is an individual that has served our community for numerous amount of years. He served for over 9 years on the on the council, and he also served several years on the local school committee. So I know that due to health reasons, he wasn't able to be here today, but I personally want to thank him for his years of service, for the dedication that he's given to this residents of Southbridge. He cares about Southbridge, and I'm pretty sure we will hear a message soon, but I want to say thank you to Councilor Vandal for his years of service. And I also want to thank this sitting council for the opportunity you've given me to be the chairman. I took over when the chairman Moriarty resigned due to personal reasons, but I just want to thank you for the opportunity that you've given me to serve as the chairman of the town council, and good luck, and let's keep it going. Moving on to agenda item number 6, town manager's announcements.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And first, I'm pleased to welcome back Councilor Vecchia. It's nice to see him back up on the table after an illness, and it's nice to see you back, so welcome. A couple of quick comments to follow the chairman. I had an opportunity to work on a daily basis with Nick Tortis, our building inspector, who is retiring, and I just want to wish him the very best in his retirement. It was a real honor working with him. He's one of those guys that's been taking down all these old abandoned buildings and ripping them down to help clean up the town. He's worked diligently with all department heads as a real team player. He really has served this town very well, and I want to thank him for that as well. I also, like the chairman, had an opportunity to attend the Relay for Life, and it was great to see the excitement of all the people raising money to deal with the issue of cancer. It's sort of heart-wrenching to watch all the candles being lit and them walking through, recognizing people that have passed from cancer, and it shows what a great spirit we have here in Southbridge and how the community can and does work together to highlight important issues that face our town. Tonight, you're going to be hearing about a facilities management plan. I'm not going to get into it. You're going to hear a presentation about that. But it's about 6 months worth of work that went into this. Essentially, we had a company look at all the town buildings to make sure we had a clear understanding of what their physical needs were. Capital improvement projects, many of our buildings have been left, let's say, I want to say to deteriorate, but of less than optimal conditions. So we have a plan that's going to be coming forward tonight that has looked at all of buildings and develops what their needs are going to be over the next 10 years so that we can plan resources accordingly to meet the needs of those buildings. Clearly, the facilities we have here in town are the biggest asset we have, other than the staff we have working for us, and we need to make sure we maintain them in optimal working condition. Also, the second meeting of the Drug Task Force has met. We're continuing to work together to see how we can work together as various state agencies and town organizations and town departments to work together to try to do everything we can to keep illegal substances off our street and to provide treatment for those who need it. And with that, I want to talk briefly about a warning that I put out in the streets today. The police chief sent me a press release letting me know that there's an extremely dangerous heroin product that's out in the street right now that's causing overdoses in the area. So if you know of anyone that has a problem that is using heroin that looks like they're overdosing, please call 911 immediately, because these doses that are out in the streets are extremely, extremely dangerous. So I put that press release on the town hall page. I'd appreciate if you share that. We need to do everything we can to save lives, and we need to move forward with that. I also wanted to comment about the local stakeholders group that was involved in the turnaround plan. As the chairman has discussed, that turnaround plan is going to be coming out soon, and the local stakeholders group was teachers and administrators and community members who worked very hard on providing information that's going to come within that turnaround plan. So I want to thank them once again for all the work that they've had. One other issue deals with the issue of the airport. I've been talking to the chairman of the Airport Commission and our airport director, and we're going to be looking at all the leases up at the airport to restructure and update those leases for all the hangar spaces. And what's starting that process is soon we'll be having a new administration building, and we have a great aviation school that we want to work into that building. So positive things are happening at the airport. You'll see, if you go up there, you'll see the new structure, the administration being built, and you'll see the steel going up, and we're excited to see that building actually come to fruition and be up and running. The sewer line is moving as well. The engineering plans are all done, and the highway DPW department is working to move that project as quickly as possible. And that's all I have tonight, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Moving on to agenda item number 7, presentations. We do A, Councilor Vice Chair Conrad Vandal. We have a good message, and it's going to be read by our Executive Assistant, Yvonne Torres.
Only for Conrad would I do this. Thank you and good evening. Last week I received a call from Conrad Vandal, and he asked if I would please relay his farewell message to all of you, and I'm pleased to do so. Sitting here in the VA hospital, I'm wishing that I was with you in my council seat this evening, participating in the last council meeting of my 9-year term. I deeply regret that life circumstances have prevented me from finishing my final term. It has been a privilege serving the citizens of Southbridge, first on the school committee for 8 years, and then on the council for a total of 16+ years. The support of my fellow councilors has been and always will be appreciated. I also want to thank all town hall employees, members of subcommittees, and the citizens of Southbridge who assisted me in and out of the town hall for meetings. Your help has never been unnoticed and will always be remembered. Your kindness allowed me to fulfill my commitments. Soon, I hope to be transitioning from the hospital to my home with my family and friends. I'm looking forward to being back in Southbridge, and I hope to see you around town soon. My best wishes are with this existing council and the soon-to-be elected council on June 28th. My final message to all Southbridge registered voters: go out and vote, because your vote matters. Sincerely, Conrad Vandal, Council Vice Chair. Thank you.
If you may, I know he's not here, but I would like to have a standing ovation for Mr. Conrad Vandal. Thank you. I know we have a facilities management plan B, but I would, seeing that our audience is here, I would entertain a motion to move agenda item number 11 to become 7B.
So moved.
Second.
We need a roll call.
Why?
Simple hand vote?
Yes.
All in favor? Thank you. At this time, we will vote to confirm the following 13 individuals as auxiliary officers, Southbridge Police, for a 3-year term effective immediately through June 30th, 2019. I'm going to, is Chief Woodson available? He wasn't expecting us moving it up, so.
So tonight before you, we have 11 candidates. 3 of the candidates are not here tonight. One has a military commitment. The other 2 are retired police officers with us. All the candidates before you, and I'm not sure, Mr. Chairman, if you're going to want to go over each name, or do you want to do them as a group, or what's your pleasure on that, sir?
We have family members here.
Okay, sure,
so,
I'll do each name, no problem, I'm
okay.
prepared for that. Every candidate, so I don't have to keep I'm saying it and sound redundant, has completed the 312 hours of reserve and police academy training. It's a pretty big commitment that a lot of people aren't familiar with. Their family, I'm sure, is familiar with the commitment, but I'm not sure if all the council is. They had basically gone to training 2 days during the week, 3 to 4 hours each day, and then 8 hours every Saturday for the last several months. They've had to pay approximately, depending on which academy, $1,000 tuition. Some are $1,200, some are $1,500. They've had to buy about $1,000 in equipment, about another $400 or $500 in books. So it's a substantial commitment on all their parts, time and money, and we appreciate that they took that effort. So if we could on the agenda, the first candidate is Christopher Athanas. And if I could just give you a quick bio on him. Is that how you want to do it, Councilor? Or?
It's up to you, but you don't have to give a bio on each name.
Okay.
If you don't prefer.
So just go over each name?
If you can.
Okay,
just
so
give each name.
The first would be Christopher Athanas. The second candidate would be Brandon Battles. The third would be Michael Borisk. I'm going to mess up this name. Kyle Cassavant. Dan Charette. Ryan Duff. Nicholas Koulalis, I apologize for that, Nick, if that's wrong. James Lamoth Jr., Brittany Morgan, Jordan Ryan, Jose Vallejo, Charlie Williams, and last but not least, Mario Marcucci, who's also a retired detective with our police department.
Thank you. If you're here in the audience, if you can just stand like that, we can recognize you. Thank you.
And again, while they're standing, just so everybody knows, this is a great group of candidates. It's my first group that I've put in as the permanent chief. You know, we've got a gentleman who's the chief operating officer of a large company in the area. We've got a gentleman who's got a master's degree in full-time police academy training. We've got some extremely qualified candidates, and it's great to have them on board. So just again, thank you. Thank you, Council.
Thank you. Now I understand I congratulated you before the vote, but now I'll take somebody want to?
I'll make a motion to confirm the following 13 individuals as auxiliary officers for the Southbridge Police for a 3-year term effective immediately through June 30th, 2019.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Councilor O'Clair,
Yes.
Councilor Carrasco,
Yes.
Councilor Clements,
Yes.
Councilor Estrada,
Yes.
Councilor Manna,
Yes.
Councilor Steves,
Yes.
Councilor Vecchia,
Yes.
7 yes.
Thank you. Motion carries. Congratulations again. At this time, we will continue with our agenda item and presentations, the facilities management plan. We'll take a 5-minute recess to give the families time to congratulate their individuals. We're back, and moving on to agenda item number 7C, in presentations, Facilities Management Plan by Todd Hassett, Jerry McCarthy, and partners of the FFA Incorporated. Thank you and welcome.
Thank you. Good evening. We have a short set of slides. I think the council all has copies. There are some extra copies at the front here on the chair. And my name's Todd Hassett. I'm with the firm Financial Advisory Associates. We were retained by the town through a public procurement process to do an evaluation and assessment of all of your municipal facilities, excluding the schools, and develop a management and repair and maintenance, a 10-year plan for you. This is just an outline of what I'm going to try to talk briefly. I know you've got a busy agenda tonight, but I want to just brief the council on our team, the scope of the work, the process we went through, the format of the report that I know you've seen just recently. Then my colleague Jerry McCarty is going to walk you through a very high level an overview of some of the findings at each of the buildings based on overall conditions either that we've classified as either good, fair, or poor. Then we've also developed for the town a maintenance schedule or a maintenance plan that we'll talk about briefly that talks about the frequency and things that need to be looked at on a regular basis in your facilities. We've got a set of, I believe, 6 findings and recommendations as a result of our effort that we'll brief you on. And then we'll certainly welcome questions, or as I know the council received the report recently, so certainly if you prefer to get us the questions through Mr. Sanangelo later, we're happy to respond in either way. So the project team here in Southbridge was myself. My background is in public finance, accounting, school business administration. I've overseen a number of facility renovations, acquisitions, and building projects. My colleague, Jerry McCarty, his background is in building inspection. He's been a facility manager for a community college. He's been a municipal facility manager for all municipal buildings within a town, and most recently, he's a town-wide facility director for a community with both the school and town facilities. Our point person, as you probably know, was Heather Blakely through the Public Works Department. And we worked with a number of her staff people in different buildings that are responsible for different maintenance functions. We worked with your building managers, got input from some of the service providers, went through a lot of documents provided by the town and some other reports relevant to your facilities. It's important to note that this study was funded through your efforts and through a state compact grant. So our services were funded through that. I thought that should be noted. We went through an initial walkthrough of all of the facilities, both Jerry and I, and then we issued a questionnaire to each facility to sort of solicit feedback on what things worked well for them, where they had deficiencies or concerns. And it helped, I think, get the managers sort of head around thinking about better managing their facilities. Then we followed that up with one-on-one meetings and walkthroughs with at each facility. Some follow-ups in certain facilities that required more effort. We went through a series of drafts with input from each of your facility managers, in some cases 4 and 5 drafts for a particular building or facility. Then we got feedback from both Heather and Ron when we had a good draft to provide, and then more recently we issued a final report taking into account all of the input and feedback. I must tell you, your building managers really have a lot of pride in their buildings, and they've done a lot with the limited resources that they've had to maintain as best they can the facilities. We then took all this data back and did some analysis and talked to some vendors and researched some particular issues that you had in some of your buildings, and then developed a report, as I said. And then tonight is the culmination with a brief presentation of our efforts. So the format of the report, we looked at 14 facilities. When you look at your report within the table of contents, for example, you'll notice there are 12 sections. So I refer to 14 here, but within the airport section, we segregated the diner from the hangars. And within the salt shed section of the report, you actually have, as you know, 2 salt sheds, one located at DPW and one at the wastewater treatment facility. We've addressed each of these facilities in a uniform approach with uniform sections and developed an evaluation narrative based on the existing conditions. Following the narrative for each facility, there's what we refer to as Table 1, which is repairs and maintenance issues that we believe are of immediate concern and that the town should really take a close look at. That section is then followed with a series of photographs to document and reference back to the sections in the evaluation narrative. So if we talk about a condition at the library to do with the gutter roof system, we actually also have photographs that reference back to that section in the narrative to just give you a sense of what we encountered. Then we developed a multi-year replacement and repair plan over a 10-year span for most facilities with a couple of exceptions, which we'll talk about later. We then offered a manual, sort of like a checklist as far as the ongoing maintenance requirements for the various facilities. And lastly, you'll note we also offered an appendix, which is a recently issued document from the Massachusetts DCAM regarding how the state views maintenance of their facilities. And though it may not be exactly relevant to Southbridge, we thought as you may pursue grants and energy opportunities, it may be helpful if you're soliciting state grants to at least mirror how you're managing your facilities with what they expect for their state facilities. So in summary, these facilities we looked at represent about approximately 300 square feet of building space. Like a lot of communities, your inventory of real estate is aging. You have 4 facilities that are in excess of 100 years old. That would be the building we're in here, the town hall, the fire station, the original portion of the public library, and the train station that's leased by the RMV currently. There are another 3 facilities within your inventory that are around 50 years old, and these would be the facilities at the public airport and the community center, which was built in 1960, I believe. And not too far behind this group of facilities is your DPW facility, which was originally built in, I believe, 1974, so it's over 40 years old. This collection of facilities has on the town's records a net book value of just over $31 million. That's sort of your historical cost net of depreciation that you might see in your financial statements. The same facilities are in the assessor's records currently valued at just over $40 million. We also looked at your insurance schedule of insured values, which is nearly $71 million for these properties. And certainly, we could all have a separate discussion about what the replacement cost might look like, but it's certainly, of all these facilities, something north of $71 million. So it's a large number of aging facilities that we're looking to protect and maintain. So at this point, I'm going to turn the next few slides over to my colleague, Jerry McCarty, who will walk you through some initial thoughts we have at each facility.
Good evening. When we looked at facilities, the classification is good when we define it in the report, but obviously there were buildings with a solid building envelope, solid structure, solid bones to it. The police station, obviously, being your newer, but it still had some issues, again, with the feedback from the chief and some observations. Security was one of the bigger ones in the security of the exterior site, specifically for the vehicles and some parking issues. HVAC controls, while it's a new building, HVAC controls age out because it's a computer system. And so the need for a software upgrade. In the town I work for, we have the same buildings at the same time, and I'm replacing the software as we speak. There's some site issues with some drainage, some asphalt that's starting to break down. And then there's some plumbing issues. The plumbing issues is a lack of a better term, a poor design issue. They put some plumbing that's inaccessible, and so it's in need of repair. So it needs a significant. It's not earth-shattering cost, but it's a cost that has to go in there and remove some ductwork to repair the plumbing and redo the ductwork. DPW facility, again, it's an aging facility. There's roof leaks. There's some issues with some being an old standing seam metal roof. Some of the fasteners are starting to rust through. So it's showing those, again, that age that needs to be addressed. And being a large facility, obviously, is a large cost. The exterior envelope, the same thing, the standing metal seam is starting to have some rust in the connections. There's some rot in the bottom of the steel. Again, not earth-shattering, but needs to be addressed. And again, HVAC upgrades. Systems are starting to get to the 40 or 50 years old, and they need to do some replacement upgrades. Water treatment facility, again, a newer building. We have some roof issues. Again, the standing seam is a design issue. We have some roof runoff that's bent the standing seams, so they're no longer standing, they're flat, and obviously that will prematurely fail the roof, so something you want to address. Again, security is an issue with, as you people well know, is statewide and with public facilities, and it's being a remote facility, again, some security needs and upgrades. Wastewater treatment plant, it's Phil, first, wastewater treatment plant is in good shape. Electrical need is, again, it's aging out. We have equipment, electrical equipment there. While operational, they no longer make the parts. The manufacturer of the electrical services and switchgear is defunct. And so the other problem is there's an increasing demand for energy there, and the system was laid out several years, 20 years ago. And again, for the upgrades of all the equipment and needs, they need to upgrade the electrical system. That's the biggest probably need at your wastewater treatment plant. There's some small roof repairs that need to be addressed because it suffered some damage. An exterior envelope with bricks, some windows, some caulk. The library it's in good shape, but having said that, the original structure of the building has some the slate roof and integral gutter system has some serious problems going on that needs to be addressed immediately. It's taking water into the masonry, and it's creating moisture problems within the building, and it's going to obviously cause brick and exterior envelope fatigue and failure. Again, going to the brick envelope. There's some site issues. The asphalt's starting to break down, some drainage issues within there. And the elevator, and it takes us the longest to get that. The elevator is the controls. Doing some research, touching base with some elevator companies that I do business with. The manufacturer of the elevator, again, has gone out of business. They sold it to Thistle Krupp, And problem is a problem with the software program there that, again, it's a systemic failure within that elevator. The next facility, and which button there? Okay. The town hall is exterior envelope, again, the brick windows, caulking. It's aged out. A lot of the wood in here needs some significant upgrades and repair. Electrical, we have the system within the building is probably, a lot of it's probably original, and the old knob and tube is prevalent in the basement and would need some upgrades. Again, you probably experienced like some other older buildings I have. You turn on the switch here and the lights flicker over there or whatever. HVAC, don't have to explain that tonight, but again, the equipment is operational, it's just aging out. The salt sheds need some carpentry and some paint. Again, that's just long-term preservation of the buildings. The diner, while it was recently renovated and rehabbed, the old forced hot air system and the the air conditioning system wasn't operational when we were out there. They were having problems with it. Again, that system was original when it was over there. It's a lot of this equipment has reached its life cycle and it probably needs replacement. The community center, while it looks good, there's some issues. The roof is not a problem per se right now, but what happens is that roof is 30 years old. It's at the end of its life cycle. So replacement of the roof would be something the town would need to address, again, to prevent future problems. Exterior envelope, you'll see it, and it's highlighted in the report. While visually, when you look at it from a distance, it looks good, but there's some areas where water is penetrating the brick and it's actually cracked the brick and it's pushing the brick wall out. That needs to be addressed. HVAC, same thing, as system's aged out. It was designed for an old armory, so we have a lot of equipment there. It's way over-designed. So a replacement with small equipment, more energy efficient, would probably, again, make the system work better and be more cost-effective. Train station is just in need of some carpentry and some site repairs, some sidewalk. There's a lot of trip hazards over there. And then the poor condition, we label poor condition because this is where the bones of the structures are having some significant problems, or some of the systems within the building, or it's aged out and needs. And once you touch it, from a code perspective, you're going to have to upgrade it. The fire station is the one. There's some significant structural concerns, and the report highlights these structural concerns. But it's one of the things, once an engineer gets into there, I think it's going to be one of those things that's going to be a compounding factor. And so you're going to start to really chase some issues, and then at that point, it's going to be pretty extensive. The masonry, there's obviously masonry, a lot of repointing is necessary. Water's infiltrated some of the brick. The plumbing, excuse me, the plumbing is old. There's some leaks in the cast iron on the basement level that needs to be addressed. Some electrical upgrades need to be addressed there. And again, as I said, the biggest thing is when you have the code issues, once you start addressing it, you'll have to do ADA and handicap access to the building. Again, the other part of it is it was designed for a male-only fire department, and obviously you have females in the fire department, so you need to accommodate everybody. The animal shelter is the same issue. The animal shelter was an old building that was adapted for an animal shelter, and if you were to do the repairs right, there's some floor issues, and you start to cut up slabs, and under a public bid process, there's a lot of unknowns, and by the time you get through all that stuff, you're going to find out it's probably just cheaper to just replace it. The airport maintenance hangar it has some serious exterior envelope issues, roof issues. The metal on there is significantly rusted through. We're going to be replacing some panels, probably replacing the roof system. You might be able to keep some of the panels on the roof, but you're going to have to put a rubber membrane covering over it. The door system was damaged years ago, and the hangar doors are quite expensive. And again, the electrical and HVAC was the HVAC was non-operational at the time, and the electrical is if you're going to be upgrading the building, you have to bring it to current compliance with codes. So as far as the buildings, that's how we just generally looked at it. The report get into the fine details of why there's concerns with these issues. And a lot of them you'll see that they're significant enough that you probably need to bring an engineer in to look at a lot of these details specifically and find out a lot more costs. And good. Thank you.
And so, as I said earlier, with each facility, we've offered a table, what we call Table 1, with immediate needs that will detail some estimated costs, and then a longer-term look. So certainly you'll want to work with the manager and the building owners and managers to better prioritize, and as Jerry said, in some cases there may be opportunities where there are like concerns in multiple facilities to perhaps retain one engineer or individual to help with things like roofs or exterior envelope issues. We also provided, after the evaluation of each of the facilities, a 7-part maintenance manual, if you will, or checklist with frequencies as to when certain things should be done. These are the high-level topics: plumbing, boilers, HVAC systems, electrical, the generators where they exist, roof systems, and in some cases grounds. As I said, we came up with 6 sort of major findings that we thought the town should perhaps spend some more time looking at, and Jerry and I will sort of split the overview of these.
The first finding is the fire station is replacement. Again, looking at the building, looking at costs. I've seen the industry. I've recently completed not a fire station, but other public buildings, and using square footage costs. When you start to get into the fire station, the cost of rehab, and then again, it'll trigger all the code requirements will be significant. And looking at the costs, using the square footage cost of recent public projects for fire stations, including a land purchase, might be better off. The other thing with the fire station, even if you do all these repairs to the fire station, there's a question, and this would be up to the fire chief, but it would be a question that is it operationally meet all your requirements? Again, it's a large building, but it's vertical. And in a fire station, and they have the trucks parked wedged into the building itself, so it's a tough building to operate out of, from my opinion. And so that's why a replacement would be probably preferred. Building exterior should be addressed comprehensively. And I say that is, again, because the building types are generally the same. If you're going to be going for an engineering, you'd be looking at the same engineer, and so you have to make some decisions of how you're going to be addressing it. But the engineer could look at all the brick buildings, come up with a comprehensive plan, prioritize it. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Prioritize it and give you a better understanding of building to building. Because you say, gee, we want to tackle this building, but this building over here needs the most need. So that's what you want to do. The animal shelter, again, it's a replacement because I just see that being one of those small projects that when you start to renovate it, you're going to say, geez, the renovation cost far exceeded just replacement. And then is well, Todd speaks to this, but to develop and utilize the town-wide facilities and budget capital planning. I've been into facilities in two towns. The second town I've been in, we started from the ground up and we had to rebuild it. To do the same thing, we did a town-wide plan. We have a 20-year plan. We basically, through our budgeting, we have a continual balance fund. We do the operational budgets, and then we have a continual balance fund to address, we call it small capital projects. Projects are about $100,000 and less, because I put those out to bid and oversee those constructions. We don't know, and it fits within that continuing balance as an appropriation, a yearly appropriation. It's larger for a couple $100,000 to $1 million jobs. That would be obviously through town meeting vote. The reason why I would suggest that, because it gives the town a lot more flexibility to address issues especially when you have equipment that's aging out, when you have failure, it's usually catastrophic failure because of its age, and you have that money's available, and if you have it lined up, you have your monies available, and you're slowly progressing to taking care of those issues. Why don't you just jump in there? You can jump.
Also, in our narrative, just to follow up on recommendation 4 in terms of looking at perhaps setting up maybe initially a division of the Public Works Department that oversees all of your facilities. In the narrative, we also suggest that perhaps over time, if this model is successful for the town, that you consider expanding it to include the school facilities and all public facilities. And lastly, Jerry and I went through all the buildings, roofs, basements, all sorts of interesting space, and we came across a lot of interesting unused pieces of equipment and items that are no longer needed by various departments, and so we're suggesting that the town consider perhaps some sort of a surplus sale. There's some interesting antique equipment that might be of, yield some return for the town that's clearly of no use to the resident departments and buildings, and that might free up some storage space for the records that we are required to maintain long-term public records. So our project, our report, as you've probably seen, is over 300 pages plus the appendix. So I know there's a lot for you to digest. We do hope that and some of the summary tables are helpful in helping the town at least start to get its arms around the entirety of its facility needs and repair options that may be coming down the line. But so as I say, we're happy to take questions or follow up with Mr. Santangelo at your pleasure.
Thank you to you. We do have a couple questions. Councilor Mena.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. In regards to the fire department, we do know that that is very aged. And we did at one time have a committee looking at building a new for the cost of fire department and whatnot. So could you just roughly estimate what the cost would be versus building a new fire department to repair or get it up to the 21st century or even the 20th century?
Sure. So in our report, the sort of immediate needs from memory are between $500,000 and $600,000. Over the next 5 years, we didn't take fire out 10 because the needs were so more immediate. We came up with over $7.5 million
for repairs?
For total repairs and renovations. And as Jerry said, so that's north of $8 million to bring everything up to code and renovate it and fix all of your structural issues. And as Jerry says, that in all likelihood, we'd certainly defer to the chief, but in all likelihood, that still doesn't give us an operational 21st century station to run a current fire service. In terms of a new facility, based on the square footage, it's probably, I'm just shooting from the hip, but maybe $5.5 million to 6.
And I'll just going back to the existing building. The problem is we did it based on just some square footage costs. Again, based on the age of the building, we didn't look into hazardous materials issues. Or there's a lot of unknowns with that facility. Because again, structurally, I think there's some significant damage over there. My opinion, and so that I think the renovation cost would I think is one of those projects is the proverbial money pit. You keep on chasing your dollar. The new facilities, again, it depends on what the desire, but I would say that a new facility would be more than in the $7 or $8 million range on that, just based on some recent information I got from other town. And again, you have to look at. It's not looking at land purchase. It's not looking at site. If you're going to take eminent domain issues or anything else like that, so that'd be
Well,
a plus.
I did see something in your report. I was able to glance through it really quickly, and you did recommend that a new facility be looked at instead of doing the repairs, which, sounds, in reality, I guess, it's a lot of money, but, I mean, down the road, I mean, looking at it, it's probably a cost savings in the future, I'm sure. Also, when you were looking at the public record, I mean, in the basements, and you saw the records being stored, was it damp? Because public record, the records, when they're being stored, it's supposed to be in like a cool, dry place. So were there damp spots? Do you think that any of these records are getting damaged? And if so, I guess the next question would be to our town manager. I mean, are these, how is your records retention here at the town hall kept? Does somebody go through it quarterly, yearly? Are the records purged when they're supposed to be? So I guess you can answer your question, then he can answer his.
I'll be happy.
My question, the dampness.
Well, the dampness is just, generally speaking, the basement levels on some of the buildings that you're storing records were never designed for to store records. They don't have the air, they don't have the air movement. I mean, it was a basement, they never put HVAC in there. There might be some residual heat from a baseboard unit or whatever. So it's not promoting air movement. So, and then just the natural, no different than your basement. You put something in there, and in a hot day like today, cool night, you get dampness, and you get wicking the moisture. And then once you get that, it's a continuous cycle. So I wouldn't say I didn't see any areas where, quote unquote, you had major water issues, but you know what's occurring because all your paper's wrinkled or crinkled. It's starting to stick together. It's starting to get a little fuzz growing on the edge of it.
I get it. So, I mean, that's a concern because those are records, and some records have to be kept for years and years and years, or forever. So.
If I could, through you, Mr. Chairman?
Absolutely.
So thank you, Monique. It's a very good question. Right now, and frankly, to be honest with you, I was in some ways pleasantly surprised at looking at the records downstairs that they're in reasonably good condition, that most of them are labeled with destruction dates. Different department heads handle it differently. Some are better than others. In my last department head meeting, I instructed them to all review the records that they had on hand to see if the destruction dates were on them. If not, to check with the Secretary of State's office because they have different times when you can eliminate some documents. Some documents, too, have to be shredded, and some can just be thrown away, so we have to look at that as well. But Joel is already working with department heads to organize that. He can throw away some of the paperwork right away because we have two problems. There's a lot of, I guess they call it excess equipment, but I call a lot of it garbage that needs to be thrown away. And then there's records, which are documents. Some of those documents can go directly right into the recycling bins the way they are. Others have to be crushed or shredded because of personal information. So the department heads are under instructions to review all that, and Joel's already going to process, already starting to throw them away section by section.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any other further questions from the council? Seeing none, I want to thank you for the 568 pages.
Just one copy. Yeah, there's only one copy. Because it's so long, the copies were not made for individual councilors. You were sent to a link to do it. What will happen, though, is we're going to find a way to either download it so that we can put it on the town website in a PDF format or something, so all citizens will be able to look at this. Now, let me make it clear what the whole point of this is. This is designed for us to do two things. To, one, identify all the problems in all the town buildings and identify a schedule and a timeline for fixing those buildings. That protects the town buildings. But secondarily, it was also to get some estimates, some ideas as to the type of resources we need to fix these individual problems. So the good thing about this, and thank you, Todd, for kind of giving us a little bit of early draft of some things. Some of the things we use free cash on were actually from Todd's recommendations for the current budget year because the report wasn't done. But what we're going to be doing is using this as a tool on the next ongoing budgets to implement some of these repairs and fixes all throughout the process. Now, obviously, we can do that with free cash for smaller dollar numbers. Some things, though, are bigger deals. A new fire station is a whole new conversation. The dog pound, we're already working on that issue, but there'll be a host of different ways we'll address these structures, both in short-term free cash expenditures and maybe with some of these looking at long-term borrowing. We'll get that on the website as soon as possible so citizens can see that. Again, the board has future questions on any of these issues, because I know you just got this draft report, today. Please forward those questions to me. I'll forward them to Todd, and we'll get any answers that town councilors want on any of these sections, okay? So please just forward them to me, and Todd will work together to answer those questions. Thank you guys for the wonderful work you did. We appreciate it. It's nice that this was paid for from a state grant, so it didn't cost local taxpayers anything. And this will be a good tool to protect the assets of the town long into the future. So thank you, gentlemen, for your hard work.
Thank you. Our pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to agenda item number 8, Citizens Forum. Are there any citizens that would like to address the council with something that's not on tonight's agenda? Please state your name, address. You have 5 minutes, and please keep it respectful.
Right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and the chairboard. I thank you all for the opportunity to let me run a taxi business of Southbridge. As we all know, we have more negativity than positive in Southbridge. And what I'm asking the town, we have to look at all the basics, like the bedroom. There's a lot of nice people there, and there's a lot of violence and a lot of unknowns. When I'm there at 5:30 in the morning, I see more than the police department sees. There are a lot of nice people who trying to train their lives out and be somebody. I used to be one of them people, and I didn't have that opportunity. I had the opportunity of jail, and I had to get corrected by my fears of the inmates, and I never want to go back. All right, the government is doing a wonderful thing, and all of you, and the police department, the hospital, the fire department, the EMTs, and many, many more. And I'm here very pleased. 2 years ago, you couldn't even talk to me. You all know that. I had so much negativity. You, the people, and the citizens of Southbridge, yeah, we all don't get along. We know that. We have negativity that will bring positivity in our lifetime. And like I said, I thank each and every one of you that have these meetings here. But we can express how we honestly feel within reason, without discrimination, without hurting another person. Emotions means a lot, but we need protection down at the bedroom and the hospital. I see a lot more since I've been a public community servant of Southbridge. I'm one of the cheapest jobs. If somebody ain't got money, I'm there. Yes, like I said, I have my mishaps. I'm a human being. I have my angry times, just like all of you. But I learned how to control it. And that's when it isn't just the people of Southbridge, Massachusetts, and the children. I'm asking each and every one of you, if we can get a roller skating rink here in Southbridge or a cinema, look at Sturbridge, the revenue they're making Sturbridge. And it's not about the revenue, it's about the entertainment. And if everybody can take that in consideration, get a cinema here in Southbridge, it'd be less costly on the people that don't have the money for transportation. Thank you very much, and God bless each and every one of you. Keep good thoughts. Amen.
Thank you. Is there any other citizen that would like to address the council with something that's not on tonight's agenda? Going once, twice. Moving on to agenda item number 9. Vote to confirm the appointment of Corey Belrose to the Planning Board for a 3-year term effective immediately through June 30th, 2019.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Just a brief comment. I'm very proud to bring forward this particular appointment. This is frankly going to be a person who I think is going to be a tremendous asset to our community. Corey is an attorney who currently deals with public relations, employee relations with Cumberland Gulf Group. As I said, I was kind of kidding in the subcommittee level that this is somebody who normally would pay $150 to $200 an hour to talk to us. I think she's going to be a tremendous asset on a planning commission. We're not asking her to give legal advice, but when legal questions come up, she's going to know enough to say, hey, let's put this on hold, let's get an attorney. I think she's going to be an invaluable asset. She actually went through the process with our planning commission and understood it on a first-hand basis, so I think it'll be a real asset to the town, and I'm very happy to appoint her for this position.
Seeing no more discussion, roll call, please.
Councilor Carrasco?
Yes.
Councilor Clements?
Yes.
Councilor Estrada?
Yes.
Councilor Manna?
Yes.
Councilor Steves?
Yes.
Councilor Vecchia?
Yeah.
Councilor Leclerc?
Yes.
9 yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
7 yes, sorry.
7-0. Agenda item number 10, vote to confirm the appointment of Elizabeth Stevens to the Board of Health for a 3-year term effective immediately through June 30th, 2019, due to a member resignation.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I'm also very pleased with this particular appointment. As the board knows, this is quite a complicated appointment in that there's a lot of people that have opinions on what happens with our Board of Health, and particularly on the landfill issue. As I said, and I promised this board that I wasn't going to be looking for somebody on one side or the other of the landfill, but somebody who would look at this issue in a reasonable way, look at all the facts, understand the issue, and then vote accordingly as to the facts around the particular issue. A number of counselors had asked me, God, they'd love to have somebody in the medical profession, and particularly a doctor. Well, Elizabeth is not a doctor. She is a radiologist who works for our local hospital. Her husband happens to be a doctor, so I guess that gives us some help in that area as well. What was nice about this particular candidate was that she expressed that she would look at all the opinions on all different matters and to listen carefully to the citizens who came before the board. That was important, and that the landfill wasn't the only issue in town, that she has public health experience, knowledge in the medical field. The Public Health Board deals with a host of other issues, so it's nice to see somebody who has a broad range of experience who can benefit our community and will do what's right for the people of Southbridge.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Councilor Clements?
Yes.
Councilor Estrada?
Yes.
Councilor Manna?
Yes.
Councilor Steves?
Yes.
Councilor Vecchia?
Yes.
Councilor Leclerc?
Yes.
Councilor Carrasco?
Yes.
7 yes.
Thank you. Motion carries. Moving on to agenda number 12, vote to confirm the appointment of Andrew Pelletier as Director of Inspection Services for a 3-year term effective July 1st through June 30th, 2019. This is a new title/position approved in the FY 2017 budget.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilor Estrada?
Yes.
Councilor Manna?
Yes.
Councilor Steves?
Yes.
Councilor Vecchia?
Yes.
Councilor Leclerc?
Yes.
Councilor Carrasco?
Yes.
Councilor Clements?
Yes.
7 yes.
Agenda item number 13, vote to confirm the appointment of Adam Costa of Blackman, Broski, and Mead, LLC, as special counsel to the town of Southbridge for a 1-year term effective July 1st, 2016 through June 30th, 2017.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to let you know, we had a person who represented the Liquor Control Commission. That law firm no longer is going to be serving the town in this capacity. I really don't want to get into the details of why not, but there's other issues outside of the town that contributed to that. Adam was the attorney who represented the Liquor Control Commission in the past. He's a great attorney. As you know, Kim Farron works directly with that board on a regular basis, and they thought it would be nice to have him back because they always liked the work that he did.
Thank you. Councilor Steves.
As I recall, didn't last year we appoint Blattman et al. As a special counsel for other purposes as well? And
No.
have we had any opportunity, have we actually used them?
Blackman used to work for the town, but when you guys, when Kevin was here, you appointed 3 law firms, and
Yeah,
they were the ones
exactly.
you didn't add on, you didn't take, instead you used Merrick O'Connell.
Okay.
We're only going to use them for this specific thing because of that Liquor Control Commission absence. But right now, they're not being used for anything but this particular position.
Okay.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Counselor Manna?
Yes.
Counselor Steves?
Yes.
Counselor Vecchia?
No.
Counselor O'Clair?
Yes.
Counselor Carrasco?
Yes.
Counselor Clements?
Yes.
Counselor Estrada?
Yes.
6 yes, 1 no.
Thank you. Motion carries. Agenda item number 14, ordered that $320,000 is appropriated for the engineering design services to replace the biotire treatment system at the Southbridge wastewater treatment plant. That to meet this appropriation, the treasurer, with the approval of the town manager, is authorized to borrow $320,000 under Chapter 44 of General Laws or pursuant to any other enabling authority, and to issue bonds or notes thereof. Two-thirds rule required.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Counselor Steves?
Yes.
Counselor Vecchia?
Yes.
Counselor O'Clair?
Yes.
Counselor Carrasco?
Yes.
Counselor Clements?
Yes.
Counselor Estrada?
Yes.
Counselor Manna?
Yes.
7 yes.
Motion carries. Agenda item number 15, ordered that $3,600,000 is appropriated for the construction services and the construction of a replacement tower, treatment system at the Southbridge wastewater treatment plant. That to meet this appropriation, the treasurer, with the approval of the town manager, is authorized to borrow $3,600,000 under Chapter 44 General Laws pursuant to any other enabling authority, and to issue bonds or notes thereof. Two-thirds roll call vote required.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Counselor Vecchia?
Yes.
Counselor O'Clair?
Yes.
Counselor Carrasco?
Yes.
Counselor Clements?
Yes.
Counselor Estrada?
Yes.
Counselor Manna?
Yes.
Counselor Steves?
Yes.
7 yes.
Thank you. Motion carries. Agenda item number 16, vote to accept the bylaw proposed to manage and control blighted properties. Second reading. Fun. Again, I'm going to ask the council to help. We will be assigning sections again. A bylaw to manage and control blighted properties in the town of Southbridge. Whereas the town of Southbridge believes that the town should adopt a bylaw to control blighted properties, and whereas the town of Southbridge believes it is in its best interest to have all the tools at its disposal to control blighted properties, and whereas the town of Southbridge believes it is in the best interest of its citizens of the town of Southbridge for their health, safety, and well-being to control properties. Now therefore, the town of Southbridge, acting by and through the town council, hereby takes the following action. The town council of Southbridge, of the town of Southbridge, in the exercise of power conferred on it by Section 8, Article, oh my goodness, 89. I was trying to figure it out, excuse me. It's all numerals. Of the amendments to the state constitution, and by its own home rule charter, does hereby adopt and enact the following addition to the Code of Bylaws, Town of Southbridge, Commonwealth of Massachusetts, to be indexed as Chapter 9, Section 301, and to be known as Control of Blighted Properties. I will read the purpose. Section 9301, purpose. A, it is hereby found and declared that there exist within the town of Southbridge numerous real properties which are in blighted or vacant condition. Many of these properties are essentially abandoned. Some are in violation of multiple aspects of state and local building and sanitary codes. These codes violations may include, but are not limited to, unoccupied buildings susceptible to vandalism and or open structures rendering them unsafe, dangerous, yards full of litter and trash, unsecured houses, unshoveled snow, rendering sidewalks impassable, and foliage. The existing of such blight B, the existence of such blight contributes to the decline of town neighborhoods. It is further found that the existence of such blighted properties encourages temporary occupancy, if abandoned by the transients, drug users, and persons engaged in criminal activity, adversely affecting the economic well-being of the town of Southbridge and the health, safety, and welfare of Southbridge residents, and create significant costs to Southbridge by virtue of the need for constant monitoring and frequent boarding and securing. C, it is further found that many of the blighted properties can be rehabilitated, reconstructed, demolished, and/or reused so as to provide decent, safe, sanitary housing or commercial facilities, and that such rehabilitation, reconstruction, demolition, and/or reuse would eliminate, remedy, or prevent the adverse conditions described above. D, it is the intent of this article to protect and preserve public health, safety, security, and quiet enjoyment of all occupants, abutters, and neighborhoods by 1, requiring all residential, commercial, and industrial property owners to properly maintain properties free from blighted conditions, and 2, regulating the maintenance of blighted residential, commercial, and industrial properties to prevent blighted and unsecured properties. Section 9-302 definitions will be read by Councilor Clements.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. When used in this chapter, unless the contrary intention clearly appears, the following term shall have the following meanings. A, blighted premises or blighted properties or the condition of blight involving real property in the town of Southbridge shall mean any building, structure, parcel of land, or any part of a building or structure that is a separate unit, whether commercial or residential, whether occupied or unoccupied, in which at least one of the following conditions exists. 1, the property is not being adequately maintained and secured as documented by the enforcement officer as the term is defined herein, based upon without limitation the following factors or similar factors: missing or boarded windows or doors, collapsing or missing walls, roofs or floors, siding that is seriously damaged or missing fire damage, a foundation that is structurally faulty, other structural deficiencies that contribute to blight as determined by the enforcement officer or his/her agents, the accumulation outside of interior furniture, garbage, trash, and/or junk, and/or the existence of inoperable motor vehicles, boats, motorcycles, or other inoperable machinery or other refuse, unless otherwise licensed to do so. 2, the property or its owners have been cited for violations as documented by an enforcement officer or his/her designated agents, and said violations have not been corrected. 3, the property is attracting illegal activity as documented by the police department and/or an appropriate agent or department of the town of Southbridge. 4, the property is a fire hazard as documented by the fire department. 5, because of fire, wind, or other natural disaster, or because of physical deterioration, the property is no longer habitable as a dwelling or useful for the purpose of which the completed structure was originally intended. 6, the property is a vacant building as defined hereunder, or 7, it is determined by an enforcement officer or his/her designated agents that the building, structure, or parcel of land is in condition which poses a serious nuisance or serious threat to safety, health, morals, and/or general welfare of the town of Southbridge. B, Board of Health should mean the board is defined and designated by the town's governance documents. C, building should mean a structure having a roof supported by columns or walls resting on its foundations and designed for shelter, housing, or enclosure of persons, animals, or property of any kind. D, cost shall mean any and all expenses paid or incurred by the town for work done or efforts expended in furtherance of carrying out the intent and directives of this bylaw, including but not limited to all technical, administrative, and/or professional fees and all court costs and attorney fees for all efforts to carry out this bylaw. E, inspector of buildings should mean the director of the inspections department, as well as the electrical inspector, the plumbing inspector, and/or the gas inspector, whether they are permanent or temporary in their service. F, enforcement officer shall mean the inspector of buildings, director of public health, police chief, fire chief, and/or their designated agents. G, local agents and mean an agent located within 30 driving miles distance of the property in question. H, town shall mean the town of Southbridge. I, owner shall mean any individual, business entity, voluntary association, or nonprofit organization which alone or jointly or severally with others, 1, has legal title to any building, structure, and property, or 2, has care, charge, or control of any such building, structure, or property in any capacity, including but not limited to agent, executor, executrix, administrator, administratrix, trustee or guardian of the estate of the holder of legal title, or 3, is a leasee under a written agreement, or 4, is an agent, trustee, or other person appointed by the courts and vested with possession or control of such building, structure, or property, or J, Property shall mean any real residential, commercial, or industrial property or portion thereof located in the town of Southbridge, including buildings or structures situated on the property. For purposes of this article, property does not include property owned or subject to the control of the town of Southbridge or any of its governmental bodies. K, receiver shall mean a court-appointed individual who serves as a general contractor and whose duties and powers shall be specified by the court in accordance with the provisions of the Mass General Laws, Chapter 111, Section 7I, excuse me. L, securing measures shall mean any action that are taken to prevent unauthorized persons access to the property, including but not limited to erecting fencing around the property, boarding up doors and windows, and the like. M, vacant shall mean either 1, any building, structure, or property in which no person resides or no person or entity actually conducts a lawfully allowed business. Exceptions, vacant shall not include A, a building, structure, or property that is vacated less than 60 days, is dutifully maintained, is actively being marketed for occupancy. B, a building, structure, or property that is undergoing repairs or renovations under an active building permit in accordance with 780 CMR, the Mass State Building Code. 2, any unoccupied building, structure, or property displaying conditions of blight.
Thank you. Section 9-303 and Section 9-304 will be read by Councilor O'Clair.
Thank you. Section 9-303, blighted conditions. A, creating a condition of blight. It shall be a violation of this bylaw for any owner of a property, vacant or otherwise, in the town of Southbridge to allow or cause to be created intentionally or through neglect to take corrective action, any condition of blight on that property or condition of blight caused by that property and any abutting properties. B, correction of blighted conditions. The owners of such blighted property shall correct any condition of blight or such property or its appurtenances. Section 9-304, administration. A, inspection authority. In order to properly protect the health and well-being of the people and the emergency responders of the town of Southbridge, enforcement officers or their authorized agents or representatives upon reasonable cause are authorized to enter, examine, and/or survey at any reasonable time such places as they consider necessary. B, investigation. The enforcement officers may undertake an investigation of any alleged violation of this section upon their own initiative or shall, upon receipt of a complaint from any individual, civic organization, or any other governmental agency, undertake an investigation of the alleged violation. C, orders to take corrective action. Upon finding of a violation of the provisions of the section, the enforcement officer shall serve notice of the violation and in order to correct such violation upon the owners of the property by certified mail or in hand service by a person authorized to do such. The order shall require the owners to take one or more of the following actions to bring the property into compliance with the requirements of this bylaw. 1, to take any action that the enforcement officer deems necessary to correct the violations of this bylaw in order to assist the town of Southbridge in protecting the public health, safety, and the welfare. 2, to correct the violation within 7 days or within such time as the enforcement officer deems reasonable and necessary. Or 3, in instances where permits or other authorizations are required, to file a completed application and any required plans for said permit for repair or rehabilitation, along with a schedule indicating a completion date for such work or its various phases. Such schedule shall be approved by the enforcement officer. D, right of the town to effect repairs. Whenever a property owner fails, neglects, or refuses to make repairs or take other corrective actions specified in the order, the town officials may undertake such repairs or actions, or the town may seek a court-appointed receiver to manage the property and bring said property into compliance with all applicable statutes, regulations, and codes, or take other action the town official or enforcement officer determines is necessary when, in his or her judgment, a failure to make the necessary repairs or corrective actions will endanger the public health, safety, and welfare. E, recovery of costs. Notice of the intention of the town to make such repairs or other corrective actions shall be served on the owners by certified mail or by service in hand by a person dutifully authorized to do such. When the repairs are made or other corrective actions are taken by the town of Southbridge, the cost of such repairs, which costs are understood to include all technical, administrative, and/or professional fees to accomplish these repairs and/or corrective actions, plus any and all court costs and attorney fees for administration, processing, and/or prosecution of the collection of these costs, shall constitute a debt in favor of the town against the owners of the repaired property. In the event that the owners fail, neglects, or refuses to pay the town the amount of debt within 30 days of the receipt of the notice of the debt, the town may place a lien on the property for such debt and/or may initiate a civil action against the owner in a court of competent jurisdiction to recover the debt. F, multiple remedies. The enforcement remedies provided in this chapter are not intended to replace or supersede the following remedies already existing under current law, but are to be available in addition to these existing remedies to better address and confront the dire community problem of blight properties. 1, receivership, Mass General Law, Chapter 111, Section 127I. 2, municipal charges lien, Mass General Law, Chapter 40, Section 58. 3, non-criminal disposition of bylaw violation, Mass General Law, Chapter 40, Section 21D. 4, removal and abatement of public nuisances, Mass General Law, Chapter 111, Sections 122 to 125. 5, demolition liens for common nuisances, Mass General Law, Chapter 139, Section 3A. 6, remedies provided by the State Sanitary Code and State Building Code.
Thank you. Section 9-305 and 9-306 will be read by Councilor Steves.
Section 9-305 is appeals. A, right to hearing. Any person or persons upon whom any order has been served pursuant to any section of this bylaw and who is aggrieved by said order may appeal to the Board of Health, provided such petition must be filed in writing within 7 days after the day the order was served. B, hearing notice. Upon receipt of the petition, the Board of Health shall in writing inform the petitioner and other affected parties. Affected parties shall include the occupants of all affected premises if the petitioner is an owner, and the owner if the petitioner is an occupant, of the date, time, and place of the hearing and of their right to inspect and copy the enforcement officer's file and other public records concerning the matter to be heard. C, appeal of final decisions. Any person aggrieved by the final decision of the Board of Health with respect to any order issued under the provisions of this bylaw may seek relief there from in any court of competent jurisdiction as provided by the laws of this Commonwealth. Section 9-306, registration of vacant buildings required. A, registration. 1, within 30 days of a building becoming vacant, each January 1st and each January 1st thereafter, each owner of such vacant building shall register said property with the Town of Southbridge's Director of Building Inspections. All registrations must state the owner's name, mailing address, physical address if different, telephone number, and email address if the individual has an email address. 2, if none of the owners are at an address within the Commonwealth of Massachusetts or within 30 miles of Southbridge, the registration shall also include the name, address, phone number, and email address of the responsible local agent for purposes of securing and maintaining the property, for the purposes of notification in the event of an emergency affecting the public health, safety, and welfare, and for service of any and all notices issued pursuant to this ordinance. 3, the failure to timely register a vacant building shall be in violation of this ordinance. Within the context of this chapter, timely shall mean registration no later than 30 days after a building becomes vacant. B, registration fees. An annual registration fee of $100 must accompany the registration form. The fee and registration are for the calendar year or the remaining portion of the calendar year in which the registration was initially required. Subsequent registration and fees are due on or prior to January 1st of each year. 2, failure to timely register any vacant real property shall be a violation of this bylaw, and a fee shall be imposed as municipal charges lien on the property in accordance with Mass General Laws, Chapter 40, Section 58. C, maintenance requirements. Properties subject to this section shall comply with the current edition of 780 CMR, the Mass State Building Code, and shall be maintained in accordance with all applicable state sanitary codes, building codes, and local regulations. 2, the property must contain a posting with the name and 24-hour contact phone number of the local owner or local agent responsible for the maintenance. This sign must be posted at the front of the property and must be legible and clearly visible from the public way and/or street. D, once the property is no longer vacant or is sold, the owner must provide proof of sale or written notice of occupancy to the Director of Building Inspections.
Thank you. Sections 9-307 and 9-308 will be read by Councilor Manna.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Section 9-307, penalties and enforcement. This section shall be enforced by the enforcement officer, the Director of Building Inspections, the Director of the Board of Health, Health Inspector, the police chief, the fire chief, and/or their designated agents. Upon failure to comply with any order issued under this section, the town may, in addition to any other penalties and actions, A, bring civil or legal action against the owner to require compliance with the order, including but not limited to seeking a court-approved receiver for the property in violation. B, issues fines whereby each separate offense of this section may be punishable by a fine of: first offense, $100 daily for each day the violation exists. 2, second offense, $150 daily for each day the violation exists. 3, third offense, and each subsequent offense, $200 daily for each day the violation exists. Any fines issued and any action to enforce this bylaw shall be instituted and enforced in accordance with Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 40, Section 21D. Undertake any other actions legally applicable in enforcing any other laws, codes, regulations, or bylaws. The imposition of any enforcement of any section of this bylaw shall not be construed to prevent the enforcement of other bylaws upon the owner or owners and/or their premises, nor prevent the initiation of other enforcement measures or penalties. Failure to pay any fine arising from the enforcement of this chapter shall constitute a debt in favor of the town. The town may place a lien on the property for such debt and/or initiate a civil action against the owner or owners in a court of competent jurisdiction to recover the debt. In addition to this debt amount, costs as defined in the definition section of this chapter shall be added to the debt to compromise the total lien amount. Section 9-308, severability. If any provision of this section is held to be invalid by a court of competent jurisdiction, then such provision shall be considered separately and apart from the remaining provisions, which shall remain in full force and effect. The provisions of this section are effective immediately upon passage, and all provisions shall be enforced immediately. All bylaws or the parts of the bylaws inconsistent herewith are hereby repealed. This bylaw shall take effect on the date of passage.
Thank you. Any discussion on this bylaw? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Councilor Auclair?
Yes.
Councilor Carrasco?
Yes.
Councilor Clements?
Yes.
Councilor Estrada?
Yes.
Councilor Manna?
Yes.
Councilor Steves?
Yep.
Councilor Vecchia?
Excused.
Excuse. 6 yes, 1 excuse.
Agenda number 17, vote to accept the Southbridge Historical Commission's request to rename the Recreation Room, second floor in the Town Hall, and confirm to rename said room the Evelyn A. Petrelli Room.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilor Carrasco?
Yes.
Councilor Clements?
Yes.
Councilor Estrada?
Yes.
Councilor Manna?
Yes.
Councilor Steves?
Yes.
Councilor Auclair?
Yes.
6 yes.
Thank you. Agenda number 18, vote to waive the town's right of first refusal, Chapter 61A, to purchase the parcel 011-003-B-0001 Gulfwood Road.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call, please.
Councilor Clements?
Yes.
Councilor Estrada?
Yes.
Councilor Manna?
Yes.
Councilor Steves?
Yes.
Councilor Auclair?
Yes.
Councilor Carrasco?
Yes.
6 yes.
Thank you. Agenda number 19, vote to transfer $2,430,000 from Cable Operations Special Revenue Account number 6626 to Cable Budget Account number 1.179.5100.0.743 to fund the administrative position at a S5 level per Schedule 1.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilor Estrada?
Yes.
Councilor Manna?
Yes.
Councilor Steves?
Yes.
Councilor Auclair?
Yes.
Councilor Carrasco?
Yes.
Councilor Clements?
Yes.
6 yes.
Thank you. Agenda number 20, vote a positional change to Schedule 1, Section 9, Cable Access to modify Cable Secretary/Office Manager position from a CAC-3 classification to a Schedule 5 classification per Section 3.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Councilor Manna.
I just want to clarify, it's to a S5 classification.
Correct.
Thank you.
Schedule 5. That's S5. Any other discussion on this matter? Roll call, please.
Councilor Manna?
Yes.
Councilor Steves?
Yes.
Councilor Auclair?
Yes.
Councilor Carrasco?
Yes.
Councilor Clements?
Yes.
Councilor Estrada?
Yes.
6 yes.
Agenda item 21, vote to transfer $10,030 from Cable Operating Special Revenue Account number 6626 to cable budget account 1.179.5100.1.743 to fund 2 part-time positions as cable access coordinator and the FY17 2% salary increase for part-time station manager.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Councilor Manna.
Thank you. I just want to clarify through the town manager, Mr. Chair, that this is coming out of cable money and not the taxpayer money, correct? Okay, I just want that to be clear for the community. Thank you.
100% correct.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Roll call, please.
Councilor Steves?
Yes.
Councilor O'Clair?
Yes.
Councilor Carrasco?
Yes.
Councilor Clement?
Yes.
Councilor Estrada?
Yes.
Councilor Manna?
Yes.
6 yes.
Thank you. Vote. Motion carries. Agenda number 22, vote to appropriate $74,000 from free cash to the following accounts. Town Hall Pool Car, $24,000. Riverbank Erosion Project, $50,000.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Councilor Clements.
A lot more hands would have gone up on this one. I would have waited. So last time we took out these 2 items because of some concerns. We didn't do subcommittee. We said that we'd come back here. We did receive some information from the town manager on the pool car information, from the assessor's office and the others that are, how much reimbursement that it was costing the town for use of their own private vehicles, which in itself can be a dilemma for some people, obviously putting the extra miles on their own car. I can understand all the logic that has been, and reasoning that has been given to us on this. What I don't agree with is the overall cost effect of this car in terms of its life expectancy and what we're going to get out of it, what the cost is and what the life expectancy is. The return on investment, I guess. The $24,000 is if we also get the grant. Is that correct?
No.
I
just want to ask that question before.
It's less than 24,000 if we get the grant, because it would be 13,000 or whatever. I'm sorry.
Yes, 13.
It'd be 13,000 if we get the grant. So that's not, it's not plus the grant.
It's 13.
Is that correct, Karen?
I thought it was
Let me just
10,000
make
for
sure
the
I'm
grant, 24 for the car.
It'd be 13,000 if we get the grant, if I recall correctly.
Well, regardless of the new car versus not, I don't have a problem with having a pool car. I just don't see that we need to spend as much money as we have here on this type of a vehicle. Research will show that the batteries can be a problem and can be astronomical to replace. I don't see why we can't go out with an invitation to bid and look for a used car or 2 used cars that add up to that type of money. You know, bring in a used car, a couple of small used cars that get, put out the invitation to bid, maybe 30 miles a gallon. We want a 1-year minimum warranty. You just need seating for 4. You really don't need a whole lot of extra space. These are cars that are going to be just used to go around. The assessor's office is going to go around and do their job, and then it's going to be borrowed within the Economic Development Office. The data that we received that is being paid out now, $3,000 or so a year, overall just does not add up to the cost of the new car. And I realize it's a green car, but green cars also cost energy because they use oil to make electricity to have the green car. So one green car is not going to make us some lead city here. I would think that it would be much more economical to get a quality used car and to use it, because it's not going to get that many miles. We're not using it all over the state and all over the region here. We're generally going to be using it fairly local according to what has been explained to us. And I just have a hard time spending on a brand new car when we don't need to. I just don't believe we need to do this.
Okay, if I could just, through you, Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Just to answer the question on the cost. The bid price, this is out for the bid process through a state bid list, it's $28,843. If we get the USDA grant, which we've applied to, we would get back $10,095. Also, a DEP incentive for hybrid plugins, as the state is recommending these hybrids to save money and to go green. So the net cost, if we get the grant, is $13,000. If not, obviously adding the $10,000 back in.
It's actually 13,748.
Is the
It's
net.
not 13, it's almost 14.
Okay, 13.
A new car is more expensive to insure than a used car, and I don't know, I still have a really hard time going with a new car. So.
Just to finish a few comments, and I'll kind of turn over to Will. A couple of things here, obviously.
And we don't know we're going to get the grant, correct?
We do not know.
Right.
That's correct, yes.
But we need a vehicle, so.
We clearly need a vehicle, and also adding to the $3,000 that is actual reimbursement money is a considerable amount of money for our employees because they don't have any money in the budget who've been using their own funds to pay for gasoline in their own cars, which seems rather unfair to employees to ask them to pay. I mean, Rosemary alone is talking about $2,000 in unreimbursed costs. So that seems unfair. I think that what we're trying to do, and again, I think the counselor is absolutely correct that this car is a little more expensive than some other cars. We are trying, as many people know, to go for the Green Communities program, and in that program is to prove that we are being conservative and that we're trying to get energy savings. And if we can prove that the town has moved forward in this way, it will help us, like the lighting program and other things we're doing, to get further grants from the State Department of Environmental Protection for things like boiler systems and energy efficient systems. So I think, you're right, it's a little bit more money up front, but I think the long-term savings will come back in the Green Communities program. Also, right now, because DEP has it, we would be eligible and we would get, because they're giving it to everybody, a $7,500 DEP incentive for hardware purchase and installation of 2 charging systems. So I know a lot of other communities are going down this path for green, to try to be more green. Being green, I'm going to be honest with you, in the beginning it costs you some additional money than not going green, but over the long term it tends to provide savings. I could swear, and maybe Will can answer more about it, I thought that the maintenance of this car was actually cheaper than the maintenance of a fuel, fully fuel car. And I know the batteries are expensive, you're absolutely correct, but
Right,
I'm also told they
the
last
regular
considerably
maintenance, yes, but the overall, because of the battery replacement,
It's more expensive.
which a gasoline engine car can last longer than the replacement time for the electric cars. So you can have a used car lasting you 10, 15, 20 years these days. People are driving around, I have friends who drive around in 20-year-old vehicles. Actually, my daughter has a 2001.
Correct.
So I'm just saying, it can be done, and we can be economical about it. In this, right now, with money so tight as it is, and all the other additions that we've added to the budget, it just seems like we should be a little more prudent.
And my last comment on that, I don't
But
want to
give
debate
the
it,
people
but-
what they need to work with.
Just to be clear, just so people understand, this is coming from our surplus last year. It's coming from free cash. So it won't have any impacts on the tax rate. It's already money that was set aside as free cash for capital items. But Will, I know you wanted to talk about this.
I do. I'm not going to make the case for the electric car versus a normal car. I think Mr. Sanangelo already made a strong case for that from the the incentives from the state. I just want to make it really clear about what people are using for cars right now. They're using their cars, personal cars, and not being reimbursed in great part. Both the economic development director, myself, some of our clerks. So the $3,000 is vastly understated. We all know there's a limit on our budget, so we don't go for more money. On the other hand, we know our jobs have to get done, so we do them, and we use our cars for that. But I want to mention something that occurred over the last couple of weeks with taxpayers, and for me, it really illustrates why we need a car for the use here. 2 weeks ago, I got a phone call, or our office did, and they said, okay, let you talk to Will. So I spoke to a woman who was in California. She had just gotten a telephone call from her son, who lived in a residential neighborhood of town, where my clerk had pulled into his driveway in his own personal car as part of the cyclical inspection program, which we're obligated to do. And the son, who was 22 years old, didn't recognize the car, was nervous, called his mother, who called our office from California, and I explained, yep, I'm sorry, and she said, really, why does he have that car? And I said, well, it's just the way we do it. Okay, that doesn't happen often, but I had that call 2 weeks ago. Well, today I had another woman who came into my office from the same neighborhood, and she said a neighbor of hers, the same thing had occurred. It's a very good neighborhood, they all watch each other. A neighbor of hers had been, who's this guy in a car who pulled into our driveways and so forth. And they didn't call. We never heard about it until the woman came into our office today. And then she asked about, she said, do you have anybody out there now? There was somebody else out there in a car. And I explained, no, this is the only clerk, and he hasn't been up there, and only person doing it hasn't been there. The whole point is, if our people are out there, they should be identified in a town vehicle. I think we all know that. So my 2 points here, not about the electric car. I mean, that case has been made. It's not my area of expertise. The net cost after those grants is $13,000. If we don't feel that's cost effective, okay, I can live with that too. But my whole point is, our people should not be reimbursed. The cost is understated because they're not putting in for this, and that's just wrong. And our taxpayers deserve to know who's coming into their driveways or their neighbors. So I just wanted to make those points. Thank you.
Thank you. I know Ms. Blakely wanted to address something too. She had to come up.
I believe I did speak to this last time I was up here too, but the procedures to go out to bid for a used vehicle versus the procedures of buying something off the state bid list, whether it's an electric car or another car, either way. That procedure is not as simple as just saying, okay, I want to go out and this is what I want. Because when you put that out to bid, you have to take what you receive as a bid and then evaluate it. We don't get to go out and drive and test drive used cars like you would if I was buying one personally. And I don't get to go and do a real in-depth evaluation. Yes, you can set up your bids that way, but it becomes more onerous on us, and just the cost of doing that bid process ends up putting cost onto the car that you wouldn't normally have. That is part of the reason why the state does the state bid list for cars and things of this nature, so that you don't have that, and there's more of a competition that you actually get good prices. So it's only for new vehicles. Unfortunately, I myself drive around in a very old vehicle with high miles on and have no problems with it, but it's not as simple as just walking onto a lot and saying, I know that's a good vehicle, I know it has a good proven track record. We could get a lemon and have real big problems with it. So going used has its own drawbacks.
Thank you. Sir.
I'm sorry, one more thing. I was just reminded that I had forgotten something. So our treasurer had checked with our insurance carrier about what would happen if one of our employees had an accident with their own vehicle. So I'm told the town has no mechanism to reimburse the employee for the damage and their deductibles and their surcharge. It would be up to them to pay for the damage that occurred when doing town business. So I just wanted to point that out.
Thank you. Councilor Manna.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you. That would be, of course, if the accident was your fault, the employee's fault. You would get the surcharge no matter what if you were in a private. But I understand totally what you're saying. I'm really concerned, though, when I hear Mr. Knoyer say that they're not getting reimbursed for the actual things they need to be getting reimbursed for. So, I mean, you're required by law, if there's a certain amount you're supposed to get reimbursed for. I mean, isn't there a policy set in place that if they're using their own vehicles, they must return their receipts in monthly, weekly? They have to do an expense report, I'm sure. And also, this is for one car. So, I mean, what's the schedule going to be like? And how much more reimbursing are we going to do for the people that still need to use their own vehicles? This isn't going to cover the problem, the full problem. So,
well, I'd say this. I think it will go a long way to covering the problem. The different departments will be able to share this car. As you say, it's a pool car. We actually drafted up, and I'm not sure which of the councilors, one of them asked about a policy for the car, and you saw that we did do a draft policy to try to meet your requirements on that. And I think it's pretty good. We're more than happy to take any suggestions, and I think actually Gus offered a suggestion or two on it. You know what? I think that for the most part, this will take care of the issue. The result of employees, if they have money in their budget, they are providing receipts, and they have to document that in order to get reimbursement for it. The problem is that we have a number of employees who, frankly, are loyal to the town, who simply have chosen that they need to do their job and are using their own personal vehicles to do that, which is unfair. And I had a long discussion with Rosemary, our Economic Development Director, about that. And this year she's been out a lot in going around to different businesses, but a lot of her work has been in the office because she's been working on getting the CDBG program up to speed and getting all the paperwork done. But we had a long talk about what she thought would cost her next year in terms of getting out and talking to everybody in the business community, and that number is about $2,000. That's a lot of money to be asking an employee to take out of their pocket for gasoline, plus the wear and tear on their vehicle. So, you know, she's going to be one of the main people who uses pool car in the assessor's office. The assessor's office is going to use it for particularly going out and measuring houses and doing all those things they do to get the appraisal value of a house.
And I totally understand that. And to Mr. Canoia's point, with the cars going in the driveway and everything, I understand that. But don't they wear a badge? Shouldn't they have some type of identification of who they are when they're walking on the property? And as for the reimbursing and the money not being in the budget, then we need to go back a couple years and make sure that that money is budgeted for these departments. I mean, one car is not going to fix the problem that you're telling us about. It's not going to fix the problem. So that's my take on it.
All set. Councilor Clements.
Thanks, just follow up. So to be very clear, I understand the need, and I don't have a problem with the need. I have a problem with the new car. And I understand Department Head Blakely's concerns that she's brought forward about getting a used car. I just still feel that the overall cost of a new car is going to be a lot more. I think what we've done here, just like with your reimbursements, is understated what this car is going to cost us. And that part I don't like. I don't like surprises, and I think we're understated. So, one used car, I don't know. I just feel it's a lot of money. And I believe, as Councilor Manna has said, the more you look at this list you gave us of people who supposedly need a vehicle, they're just not all going to be able to use that vehicle. One vehicle. We need two vehicles.
All set, Councilor Clements?
Yep.
If I may, I would like to say something in regards to the vehicle, because I understand that this past winter, one of our employees was driving one of our own, and accidents do happen, and a town vehicle got totaled. And this could have been any other person. It could have been one of our town employees going out and doing their job in their personal vehicle. I think it is irresponsible for us as a council. I understand that there's concerns in regards to pricing, and but I think looking at the long term, I think we are saving ourselves, whether it be a lawsuit, an injury claim, in regards to somebody's personal vehicle. I'm not comfortable. I know several years ago it happened to me. I live in a very quiet neighborhood, and my neighbor came and said, "What's going on? There's a black car going in everybody's driveways." And, you know, and some of these people are elderly. Some of these people are not supposed to be surprised. And shame on us if we are the ones that cause something greater to happen because somebody is scared that somebody's going into their driveway unidentified. So we have to take an approach, I think, a more responsible approach this evening in regards to what are we going to do moving forward. We've had this problem. This problem has been brought to light. And we can say no pool car, but that's still not going to solve the problem of town employees using their personal vehicles. So we can say, as a council, we're not buying a new car. Okay, so what? In turn, the town employees and our town manager could tell our employees, don't go out in your personal vehicles. Then what? What do we do? Okay? So these are the things that we have to do. These are the things, these are the questions. There's a problem that's been presented to us tonight, 2 weeks ago. Once again, this is not a surprise. This has been discussed during subcommittee meetings. It was discussed during our last council meeting, and now it's being discussed again for the third time. This is not a surprise. So I think we have to look at it a different way. I understand we're spending money, and I understand we're spending money on a car that we don't know the life expectancy. But at the same time, we hired our town manager to lead us in the right direction, to try to get us some grants, to put us in a place. So if we hired him, let's give him the tools that are necessary to position our community. And if this is going to position us to be a green community, this is not going to get us all the money in the world. I wish we did, because we need it all. We have bigger issues than a $24,000 car. But at the same time, we have other departments that have other needs that have been swept under the rug for years. We just heard a facilities management plan. We spend more retrofitting our fire trucks to fit into our fire station than what we will spend in this vehicle. So these are problems that are coming up to light. So we have to take a responsible approach. However you want to vote, let's do it. But I think we have to understand that if tonight there is no pool car, understand that there might be assessments not done, businesses not talked to, because honestly, it's not my recommendation that no town employee should be using their vehicle. No, because the liability is greater. I've always said it, liability, and if we continue to put ourselves in a position, you keep playing with fire, you're going to get burnt. That's all I got to say. Councilor Manna.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. I do agree with Councilor Clements on the used vehicle, and that could possibly solve the problem if you could purchase a couple vehicles, and it would solve an even long-term problem with trying to figure out with all the departments using it. I mean, you don't even know if you got the grant yet for this. You know, you don't even know if you got the grant yet for this. So, I mean, it's not going to solve the problem. People, even if we get this green car, I'm sorry, Councilor Carrasco, even if we get this green car, the pool car, people are still going to be using their personal vehicles, no matter what. So that's my take. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Councilor Auclair?
Yes.
Councilor Carrasco?
Yes.
Councilor Clements?
No.
Councilor Estrada?
Yes.
Councilor Manna?
No.
Councilor Steves?
Yes.
4 yes, 2 no.
Motion carries.
Excuse me. We didn't discuss the Rail Trail, Riverbank, and those two were together.
This is a combination.
There was a combination.
Oh, okay. Okay.
If you have any questions on the second part, let me have you.
I guess I missed it just because of so much discussion on the pool car. Thank you.
Vote, agenda item number 23, vote to transfer $4,000 from Town Council Reserve Account 1.132.5781 to Veterans Benefit Account 1.945.5771.0.596 to cover additional costs for the month of June.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilor Carrasco?
Yes.
Councilor Clements?
Yes.
Councilor Estrada?
Yes.
Councilor Manna?
Yes.
Councilor Steves?
Yes.
Councilor Auclair?
Yes.
6 yes.
Thank you. Motion carries. Agenda number 24, vote to appropriate $41,182 from water retained earnings to pay the town of Charlton the initial payment into the Charlton Infrastructure Replacement / Major Repairs account per the intermunicipal agreement, section 2.1.0, section 3.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilor Clements?
Yes.
Councilor Estrada?
Yes.
Councilor Manna?
Yes.
Councilor Steves?
Yes.
Councilor Auclair?
Yes.
Councilor Carrasco?
Yes.
6 yes.
Thank you. Motion carries. Agenda item number 25, vote to appropriate $38,706.02 from the water retained earnings to allocate to the town of Charlton, its share of the FY 2015 annual earnings per the intermunicipal agreement.
So moved.
Second.
Councilor Clements.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you, I guess, to the town manager. I know you're still new, technically, and I brought this up last fall, too. I see that we're upholding our end of the IMA. You're just ready to jump in, huh? We're holding up our end of the IMA, and I questioned this before, like I said, before the holidays even. They're getting their portion that we agreed to, which is good for them. They've also just received all their monies from Exxon, and they're working on getting their stuff in order up there. Wondered how far along originally, and I had asked that question, they were on implementing more water with us. I guess what I'm really concerned about is now that they've got this money from Exxon, and we're continuing to abide by the IMA, anything else going on in Charlton? I mean, you know, I'm a little concerned that there are parts in that IMA of things that they have to do for us. And I just want to make sure that somebody's on top of this. And I realize, as I said, you're still actually new when it comes to some of this. So. Okay.
So let me start through you, Mr. Chairman.
Absolutely.
So I've read the IMA very clearly, so I'm up to speed on the terms of the IMA. We had a meeting, myself and Heather met with the town administrator in Charlton to discuss these issues, along with her, I forget who was with her that day. I don't remember what.
Lemansky.
Is it, you remember the name either? You don't remember that? Okay. One of our people that deal with water issues as well. And we went through the IMA and discussed the issues of the IMA. I also made it very clear that there are, as you said, requirements within the IMA for Heather, as our DPW director, to approve a lot of different things in terms of plans. I also met with Heather to discuss prior to the meeting if they were doing those things. Heather assured me that they have kept her up to speed with regard to any design plans or future design plans they have for their water system. They've notified us, both in writing and face-to-face, that they are considering creating their own water management structure, and I know there's a specific name for it. Consecutive water company, which means they would run their own water company, and we would simply sell them the water. So under the IMA, there's a requirement that they notify us in advance. That has happened, although they're not sure they're going down that path. They're just exploring that. So I feel very strongly that we do understand the way they're moving forward. They do not have a lot of plans yet for us to review, but they do have a consulting company that they are working with, and that consulting company is keeping Heather informed of anything they do as well. We had a lot of discussion about future metering systems for the town of Charlton to make them, if they are going to stay with our water system, to get meters that are like ours, the new ones we've put in throughout our system. So I feel very strongly now, after having all those meetings, that we are up to speed with Charlton. Charlton understands the requirements we have. They understand the information they need to provide Heather, and Heather's comfortable that they are meeting the requirements up to date. Heather, you want to add anything to that?
Yes, some of the requirements of what they needed to do as far as upgrading their system have already been started. They were even previously started as part of that IMA. We had a pretty good detailed list of what we needed. So one of parts and pieces of that is actually upgrading the main that goes out to Charlton. It is my understanding that Exxon is already in negotiations with the state directly that is doing the resurfacing, and that main should be upgraded as part of that resurfacing project, which was a big concern of ours going forward. So plans are already coming together and in place. We had already seen those plans because they were already 90% done back a year ago when the IMA was actually being negotiated. So I think that they are moving forward. I think that is the first step that they need to take, and then designing of the new pump station will come next, along with doing the mixer and the tank, which is a much smaller project. As far as increasing their usage out there, I actually looked at last year's usage. They were on average about 200,000 gallons a day. In the summer, it's higher. In the winter, it's a little lower, which is expected. And it will be increasing. We know of a new, I'm sure everybody here has heard of the new brewery that's going in out there. That's a 10,000 gallon a day customer, which is quite a considerable size customer. We have seen their plans. I fully believe that's going forward, which will really help the system with some new flow. I know that their intention is to get a very large customer online very soon out there, which is really going to help our flows. They're prioritizing that design with Exxon, because Exxon is doing all that design by them in-house and doing that work and then giving the plans over. So we will be having numerous meetings in the near future with them. They are on the right path. It's a good thing to see these projects starting, and the usage will be going up.
But, I mean, we were fairly generous, I think, in what we did with them. And I guess my main concern is the year notice type. So they've notified us that they're looking in, but wasn't there a year's notice that they're actually going to implement?
Right, and I think they're just kind of giving us a heads up that they're looking at it. They're going to need a lot of information from us in the future about what our charges to them were going to be. We haven't got to that step yet. They're really still looking at their own structure internally and how this would be set up, so to give them a good idea of how it would work. They have a lot of exploratory information to go through before they're going to be ready.
Right. And there was a time that we were getting reimbursed, or supposed to be. I remember when Chris Clark was here, in terms of our helping of them. Are we charging them for anything that we're supposed to be charging them for?
We don't, there is no reimbursement now.
Now there isn't?
No. In the new IMA, there is no reimbursement. It's just the administration comes through as part of the water fee, and that's where our administration comes out of.
Right.
So that is part of the fees of the water system are already included.
So the only exception to that is for major repairs.
Right.
So all minor repairs we take care of as part of the contract.
That's not what I meant, though.
I meant something in addition.
Yeah, I meant consulting.
No.
I meant if we're spending a lot of our time and energy consulting for their project.
That was not included in the new IMA.
And I guess we should be mindful of that, I think, in terms of.
And I am.
Not to
I'm
be,
not going to.
I like Charlton. It's fine.
I'm not going to do the design for them.
I just want to make sure Southbridge gets what they need.
I'm not going to do the design for them, but I'm going to make sure that the design is the best design that they can get for functionality of the system.
Right.
It's very important, since we are still the operators, we are not consecutive yet, that the system is very functionally designed. It's not over-designed. It doesn't provide operational issues. That, quite frankly, we already have experienced out there that I don't think anybody really thought that the size of the pipes were going to be as big of an operational issue as they are. Our water age out there is an issue at times with the summer months, and we keep a very close eye on it. So the more usage we can get from Charlton residents, the better it is for everyone, operationally, for us revenue-wise, for them with their reimbursement-wise. It's a win-win for everyone.
Okay, I said Southbridge first.
And I will say that we are with them in the negotiations of any outstanding bills. That is all part of this discussion.
Good. Thank you.
All set, Councilor Clements? I'll move on. Councilor Steves.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Heather, I was wondering two things while you were talking about that. A, do we have any time frame for when Bay Path will be hooked up? And B, is there any actual effort to, because I know there were issues about getting individual homes hooked to the existing water lines, and how is that working out?
That will, Charlton is the one who was going to have to spearhead the effort of getting existing lines hooked up to the current water lines. I believe because of some of the negotiations that they've done with Exxon, it's going to be, some of people's fears might be lessened as far as the betterments and things of that nature, because they're not having a betterment anymore. So I would think that we might see some additional connections coming up because of that. We have seen them coming in. We had about 10 last year with additional connections, which isn't great, but you're getting to the point where you're not going to get a lot more until a new line is installed. That will be part of the negotiations with Exxon about how many people are going to connect. Exxon is intending to do some negotiations with the homeowners themselves as far as you have this long to connect and we'll pay for everything, and then after that we're not going to, which is very costly. It's not just the $2,000 connection fee that we would pay, but it's also the cost of actually bringing the line to the house they're offering up as part of that deal, is my understanding at this point. So when they get to that point, I think we will see a lot more connections on that new loop that's going in. They are still probably a year or two out on that. The design, again, was pretty much 75% of the way done, I would say. But, it's revisiting all of those issues. and making sure that all the i's and t's are crossed, and then actually doing the work, which is going to be a good year worth of work for all that water line.
And that's pretty much the same time frame for Bay Path?
Bay Path is part of that water
Yeah.
line.
Okay.
It's integral to that loop, the
Right,
new
okay.
loop that they're looking at doing.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Clements, were you all set?
Yeah, I think so, at this point, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Counselor Estrada?
Yes.
Counselor Manna?
Yes.
Counselor Steves?
Yes.
Counselor Eau Claire?
Yes.
Counselor Carrasco?
Yes.
Counselor Clements?
Yes.
6 yes.
Thank you. Agenda item number 26 was removed because this was approved at a prior meeting. So agenda item number 27, vote to accept the Maya/Blue Cross Municipal Innovation Award of $5,000 for a wellness program as presented to council at its April 25th, 2016 meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Councilor Steve.
Yeah, through you to the town manager, do we have a particular idea of what we're actually going to use this money for?
No, the answer to that question is no. We haven't even gotten the check yet, so we haven't started spending it yet, but we will put together probably a committee to look at this and go forward with the programs. They know in the past they've done different kinds of exercise programs and stuff, but we haven't got into exactly how it's going to be used yet.
I thought they actually presented a check to us at this meeting.
What's that?
I thought they actually gave us a
Well, they
check
gave
at
us
the
the
meeting.
check, but we had to authorize the welcome and stuff. I mean, I don't think it'll be hard for us to figure out how to spend the money. And it'll be, I think, just like we talked about before, exercise programs, things that make our employees more healthy. Sometimes they do weight loss programs, that type of stuff. I know people like Karen and Mindy and actually I think Rosemary downstairs are all involved in that discussion, but I don't think they've formulated the full plan yet.
All set? Yep. Thank you. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Manna?
Yes.
Counselor Steves?
Yes.
Counselor Eau Claire?
Yes.
Counselor Carrasco?
Yes.
Counselor Clements?
Yes.
Counselor Estrada?
Yes.
6 yes.
Thank you. Motion carries. Agenda number 28, vote to recommend the council's intention to lay out the revised Goddard Street Way and refer this matter to the planning board for a non-binding recommendation.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Counselor Steves?
Yes.
Counselor Eau Claire?
Yes.
Counselor Carrasco?
Yes.
Counselor Clements?
Yes.
Counselor Estrada?
Yes.
Counselor Manna?
Yes.
6 yes.
Thank you. Motion carries. Agenda number 29, vote to recommend the proposed amendment for the Southbridge zoning bylaw for certain solar installations to be submitted to the planning board to receive public input.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Counselor Eau Claire?
Yes.
Counselor Carrasco?
Yes.
Counselor Clements?
Yes.
Counselor Estrada?
Yes.
Counselor Manna?
Yes.
Counselor Steves?
Yes.
6 yes.
Thank you. Agenda items 30 through 50 are reappointments, and we will simply do a hand vote on these to move this quicker. Agenda item number 30, vote to confirm the reappointment of Richard Clements to the Airport Commission for a 3-year term effective July 1st, 2016 through June 30th, 2019.
So moved.
Councilor Clements.
I'll recuse myself from voting on this. Everybody knows that Rick is my brother-in-law. I've signed a paperwork on it. I could vote on it, but just in the interest of open meeting, I won't bother to. Not that there's any monetary value connected with it, but I just won't be voting.
Thank you. Simple hand vote. Thank you. 5. Agenda item number 31, vote to confirm the reappointment of Tracy Pallone to the Board of Registers for a 3-year term effective July 1st, 2016 through June 30th, 2019.
Second.
Any discussion? Simple hand, all those in favor? Unanimous, 6-0, motion carries, thank you. Agenda item number 32, vote to confirm the reappointment of Raymond Gauthier to the Cable TV Advisory Committee for a 3-year term effective July 1st, 2016 through June 30th, 2019.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. All those
I
in
don't know.
Okay. All those in favor? 6-0. Thank you. Agenda item number 33 has been removed, and I just want to take this opportunity to let our citizens know why it's been removed. Earlier this month, Mr. Michael Marino passed away, and he was a very dedicated, loyal citizen of Southbridge. Michael worked for several men's clothing stores, Corey's, Goodwin's, and the Army Navy store, which were all here in Southbridge. And he also worked for the Gentleman's Warehouse in Auburn before retiring due to an illness. He served on our Disabilities Commission for many years. He loved golf, and he was an avid sports fan. He was loyal and a dedicated son and a great brother and uncle. So at this point, if we can we just take a brief moment of silence for Michael? Thank you. Moving on to agenda item number 34, vote to confirm the reappointment of Bonnie Lasavio to the Commission of Disability for a 3-year term effective July 1st, 2016 through June 30th, 2019. Any discussion?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Unanimous, 6-0. Agenda item number 35, vote to confirm the reappointment of Maureen Doyle to the Conservation Commission for a 3-year term effective July 1st, 2016 through June 30th, 2019.
So moved.
Second.
I
Any
have to
discussion?
abstain, obviously.
Okay. All those in favor? 5 with 1 abstention. Motion carries. Agenda item number 36, vote to confirm the reappointment of Susan Chapin to the Council of Aging for a 3-year term effective July 1st, 2016 through June 30th, 2019.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? 6-0. Motion carries. Thank you. Agenda item number 37, vote to confirm the reappointment of David Livingood to the Economic Development Committee for a 3-year term effective July 1st, 2016 through June 30th, 2019.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? 6-0. Motion carries. Thank you. Agenda item number 38, vote to confirm the reappointment of Fred Moran to the Historical Commission for a 3-year term effective July 1st, 2016 through June 30th, 2019.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? 6-0, motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, I just would like to point out that that is repeated on
Yes,
item
and
number
that will be
40.
removed. Yeah, I understand. I understand. Agenda item 39, vote to confirm the reappointment of David Pear to the Planning Board for a 3-year term effective July 1st, 2016 through June 30th, 2019.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? 6-0, motion carries. Agenda item number 40, vote to confirm the reappointment of Paul, I'm going to kill this name, Musi, to the Planning Board for a 3-year term effective July 1st, 2016 to June 30th, 2019.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? 6-0, motion carries. Thank you. Agenda item number 41, vote to confirm the reappointment of Michael Reno to the Planning Board for a 3-year term effective July 1st, 2016 through June 30th, 2019.
So moved.
Second.
Councilor Steves.
Through you to the town manager, just a quick question. Since we're reappointing 3 people for 3-year terms, when do the other members' terms expire? Do you know?
I give you answer because I don't have that in front of me. I can send that to you tomorrow for the planning commission, but I don't have it in front of me.
I was just curious because, I mean, I know we've had the discussion before about not having staggered terms, and we don't want to run too many people at the same time, so.
Yep, I'll
wanted to
send you
point
the
that out.
different list. Are you only interested in the planning commission, or?
Well, if you have it for everybody.
Yeah,
I mean,
let me
that'd
see,
be
check on that and see what I can do.
now. So, thanks.
All set? Thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor? 6-0, motion carries. Thank you. Agenda item number 42, vote to confirm the reappointment of Denise Steferi to the Southbridge Cultural Council for a 3-year term effective July 1st, 2016 through June 30th, 2019.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? 6-0, thank you. Motion carries. Agenda item number 43 was a duplicate, so moving on to agenda item number 44, vote to confirm the reappointment of Lynn Burchard to the Zoning Board of Appeals for a 3-year term effective July 1st, 2016 through June 30th, 2019.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? 6-0, motion carries. Thank you. Agenda item number 45, vote to confirm the reappointment of Greg Cormier to the Zoning Board of Appeals for a 3-year term, effective July 1st, 2016 through June 30th, 2019.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Actually, this is a three-person board, right?
I'm sorry, Gus.
This is a three-person board, right?
I'm sorry?
I said this is a three-person board, right?
Is it a 3-person board?
I think it is.
I haven't met with them yet, so I'm not really sure. Do you know them yet? I'm not sure, to be honest with you. I haven't met with this board yet, so I haven't met them in person yet. Almost every other board I have, but this one I have not. I can check on it again for you tomorrow. I think it probably is 3-person. They run 3 or 5, to be honest with you, is what normally.
Yeah.
I just don't know off the top of my head.
That's why I was asking this
Yeah,
about the
Sandy
whole,
just left. Sandy
staggering
would know
thing
the
again.
answer to that question.
So,
She just walked out the door on it.
Yeah.
But I will, again, I'll check on that with you tomorrow for you.
Okay.
Just looking here quickly at our...
It's a 4.
It's a 4-person?
That's what it says on the website, Southbridge website.
Does that mean we have a vacancy
that-
then? That means we must have a vacancy then.
Yeah, it would be in the charters.
It should be always an uneven number.
Yeah,
It should
exactly.
never be an even number.
We have 4 people on right now.
Okay, that
There's 4
means,
current.
okay, that means we have a vacancy.
That
Okay.
probably means
Yeah.
there's 5 then.
Yeah,
If there's
okay.
4 current, it's probably a 5-member board with 1 absent.
Probably.
It wouldn't be a 4-member board.
Right.
So
Okay.
it's probably a 5-member. I'll just have to check and see why that opening is there.
Okay.
Any other discussion on agenda item number 45? All those in favor? Thank you. 6-0, unanimous, motion carries. Agenda number 46, vote to confirm the reappointment of Robert G. Caprera, Esquire, as Town Council for a 1-year term effective July 1st, 2016 through June 30th, 2017.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? 6-0, motion carries. Agenda item number 47, vote to confirm the reappointment of D. Moskis partner Merrick O'Connell, attorneys at law of Worcester, as special counsel to the town of Southbridge for a 1-year term effective July 1st, 2016 through June 30th, 2017.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous. Motion carries. Agenda item number 48, vote to confirm the appointment of Detective Evan Genkos to the Commission of Disability for a 1-year term effective July 1st, 2016 through June 30th, 2017.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? 6-0. Thank you. Motion carries. Agenda item number 49, vote to confirm the reappointment of Arnold Lonnie to the Scholarship Committee for a 1-year term effective July 1st, 2016 through June 30th, 2017.
So moved.
Any discussion? All those in favor? 6-0. Thank you. Motion carries. Agenda item number 50, vote to confirm the reappointment of A.J. LaRochelle to the Scholarship Committee for a 1-year term effective July 1st, 2016 through June 30th, 2017.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Thank you. At this time, that motion carries. 6-0. Agenda item number 51, Councilors Forum. I'm going to start with Councilor Manna.
There's like an alternate position that says it's open.
Councilors Forum. Councilor Manna?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. Before I came to the meeting tonight, I did receive a call in regards from a citizen in regards to Central Street. She had to walk back from Central Street to where she lives, and she said the sidewalks are in horrible conditions. So if somebody could just take a look out there, we do have a lot of walkers. I mean, if something could be patched or even like, marked if they are a trip hazard or something, a safety hazard, that would be great. I would also like to thank Nick Tortoise for his 30 years of service to the community of Southbridge. I wish him well in his retirement, and I want to thank him for his service. Also, June 28th is election. It's up to you. This is your town. You need to get out there and vote. We also have some some questions on the ballot for you to vote on in regards to our charter. One of them being the election, the date of the election, going from the last Tuesday of the month to the second Tuesday of the month. That's very important because that could actually like sway voter turnout. So it's up to you. Get out there and vote on these items. And also, this may be my very last town council meeting, so I just want to thank the community for the last 3 years. It's been a pleasure serving you. If I am not back up here come July, I haven't gone anywhere. I'm still in Southbridge, and I'm still going to stay involved. But it really, truly has been a pleasure serving with everyone up here over the last 3 years. And in advance, I'd like to wish Councilor Carrasco congratulations, because he does not have anybody running against him, so he's in by default. So congratulations, Councilor Carrasco. And that's basically it. Just get out there and vote. Exercise your right to vote. I mean, there's been several amendments made to the Constitution in regards to voting, going back as far as the 1865. So get out there and exercise your right to vote. It's your town. Town affects you the most. It affects you more than the state. It affects you more than the presidential election. It hits right here at home. And please do your homework on all the candidates. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Steves.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The one thing I wanted to mention is that I got in my packet today, this week, I got a piece of paperwork from the National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey, which is coming to Worcester County this month. And I don't know if they'll actually be hitting Southbridge, but they pick people at random. So if there are people in town, I would urge you to participate in it, because we know what the kind of health issues that our town has. And they try to look at a whole slew of different things. I'm not going to read this whole document here, but I do want to read a quick section that they try to look at risk factors, those aspects of a person's lifestyle, constitution, heredity, or environment that may increase the chances of developing a certain disease or condition will be examined. They list a whole slew of different things that they look at: smoking, alcohol consumption, sexual practices, drug use, physical fitness, and a bunch of other things. And they are looking specifically, the medical conditions that they're looking at will include anemia, body composition, cardiovascular disease, diabetes, environmental exposures, infectious diseases, kidney disease, and several other things that are fairly common, unfortunately, in our community. So if you do end up getting randomly selected by the federal government to participate in this, I would certainly encourage you to do so. And they mentioned here that this particular process tends to oversample people ages 60 and over, African Americans, Asians, and Hispanics, which are all pretty common in our community. So if they come around, participate. We can actually hopefully learn something about it, and hopefully we'll get actually the results of the survey so that we can maybe base some of our own ideas and some of the things that we need to do from it. So that's all I had today. Thanks.
Thank you.
Just to you, Mr. Chairman, to answer your question, and you can thank Kristen and Denise for finding it both before I did, but it's a 3-member board with 2 alternates. That's the way it works.
I heard her saying that. Yeah. Okay.
You did hear it? Just went through. Okay, I just want to make sure.
All right. Councilor Estrada.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. One mention to Council Conrad. Thank you for your service, the great service. He was a great teacher and great friends. We need more Councilor Banda in this year. Welcome back, Councilor Apple. Remember the citizen and Tuesday 28, the big election. Not stay home, go to the vote for a much better candidate. God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Clements.
Thank you. A couple of things. Some of you may have noticed and others may not, but bridge work is finally starting down at the Globe area. And be careful what you wish for, because this is going to be a long project, and it's been long coming. It is an egress into our community, an access way, and it's been a problem for many of the tractor-trailer trucks having to go down River Street. So while it's a blessing that we're finally going to get that new bridge and sidewalk area done, if any of you have come in from Sturbridge, you see the big sign that says seek alternate route. That's a scary thing, and you'd probably be best to adhere to it, because it's already, when they were doing trees the other day, it's already going to become a backup problem. So when at all possible, seek alternate route around that area. But again, it's great that the state's finally going to fix that bridge for us, because we to get that done. I would like to congratulate Nick Tortoise on his retirement. It's been great to work with you, Nick, personally and here on council. You've always been there when I've had a question, and you were there 20 years ago, almost 21, when I built my house, and answered a lot of questions then. So I wish you the best in your upcoming days. I'm sure you'll have many projects to keep you busy. And to Conrad and his family, again, all the best. I've been keeping abreast. Luckily, Mike Trombley's been letting us know lots of things about your condition and how it's going. And while we didn't always see eye to eye, Conrad, there were certainly many times that we did agree for the benefit of this community, and I did enjoy those times very much up here on council with you. And then we get to the election. Everybody's talking about the election coming up, and it's your right to go out and vote. Something that bothers me a little bit that I've seen over the last couple of years, and I'm going to bring it up because it's the concern for more after the election. Perhaps other people have noticed this as well. Signs seem to be popping up everywhere. And while this maybe doesn't bother a lot of people, one thing that concerns me is the use of private property by people who don't have permission for private property. Property belongs to somebody, and I know last year there was a big to-do. We won't get into it in terms of being able to put your sign on public property. And while there was no official, it was allowed. Let's just say it that way. But what bothered me recently when I see all the signs on public property is that our DPW workers have to go out and mow and weed whack and take care of our properties, and now they're weed whacking and mowing around those signs. So while I realize it might be a freedom of expression, it certainly is a bit of a detriment to our workers, just putting it out there. And as far as private property goes, because I know it's happened on property we own, be mindful. Property belongs to somebody. Just because somebody else's signs are there doesn't mean everybody's signs go somewhere. Chances are those candidates maybe have asked for permission to put their signs. People own the property right up to the road. Yes, the town may have easement rights, 10 feet. The town can pretty much do what they want to your property, but that doesn't give everybody the ability to do what they want to your property. So all I'm asking is that you're mindful, and more importantly, when this is over, win, lose, or draw, I hope that you're going to go out in a timely manner, as our bylaws state, and pick up all those signs. And because then they become trash, then they become litter in our community. And the last thing we need is a whole lot of political signs being left all over the sides of the roads after the election. So I just caution you, it's the first time I've seen as many as I have, sort of every corner, pretty much anywhere there could be a spot to put a sign, people have put signs. And it is a little bit aesthetically unappealing in our community at this point. So you have the right to do what you've got to do, but please be mindful and pick up your signs when the election is over. I might take some flack for that, but I'm thinking about the community and the future of the community. Other than that, I'm done. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilor Auclair.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. I also wanted to thank Councilor Randall for all of his years of service. It was definitely a pleasure to have served the last year with him. In addition, it was great to see Councilor Vecchia back this evening. I look forward to next year working alongside him again. The only other thing I wanted to bring up, so we just touched obviously briefly on the planning board and how many people are on there. There's still an alternate member on there. We have a lot of boards and committees in the town that we need new members on. So anybody who's out there that might be interested in serving on a town board or committee, we definitely need the people. And go to the town hall, pick up an application form. Those appointments are going to be coming up pretty soon as well. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Agenda item number 52, discussion of the next meeting date, Monday, July 11th, 2016, at 7 p.m. in council chambers. Agenda item number 53, adjournment. All those in favor? This meeting's adjourned. Good night. Happy 4th of July.